Hey everyone, we are live. I reward punctuality. So we're not officially getting started. For about 20 minutes is when our special guest arrives. So we're just going to stay silent until then. Is that cool? No, we're not going to do that. Okay. So obviously, guys, I'm here. I'm here with Lucas. Many of you don't know the nickname, but we're going to make sure you know it. So Lucas here works at Root. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm just moving me around. Give me 1 second. So Lucas has a nickname, and many of you guys know the nickname for Lucas, but if you were not on the recent live, I'm going to share my screen right now so you guys can all see it. Let's pull this up here. So this is Lucas's nickname. So you guys can refer to him as Lucas, or you can just call him the financial weapon. So to start off, Lucas, do we like the nickname? Would you prefer a different one? I don't think I would call you anything else if you wanted a different one, but
I would say it's flattering. So
yeah. It's a good nickname. I mean, financial weapon, it could have got a lot worse. My last name is Taublieb, and I've gotten Tabooly and Teletubby, and so financial weapon beats those.
Yeah, I would say Teletubby is kind of up there though. So financial weapon, Teletubby,
Yeah, I'm now regretting it. What if everyone starts with Teletubby now? What's up, Andy? What's up, Sri? So guys, we're once again, new people coming in every minute. We're going to officially get started now, but a special guest is going to be joining us. So once again, Lucas and I are here. We are going to be keeping it fun today. I want to make sure that everyone that is here is getting exactly what they're looking for. So today is going to be a mix. It's going to be a topic of healthcare, which my pet peeve is when people go like, I don't know if I can retire because healthcare is $25 million a year and I don't think I can afford that. And I'm like, yes, you can. 25 million is not that much. And they're like, no, I don't think I can. And I go, you're right. And I'll say, but you could spend 50 a month. You could spend 500 a month. It's really up to you to kind of customize your schedule of income. And they're like, well, that's kind of cool. So I want you guys to hear about it. So I've got my announcements that I'm going to go over. The special guests will probably arrive around 3:45 or so. Frank has a new nickname here. Frank's going financial utilitarian. Ooh, FU for short. I like that. Frank, good thoughts here. If you guys have better nicknames, you can put it in. Cheetah's like, yep, healthcare is my biggest worry. Cheetah, we got you covered today. So today is all for you. It's healthcare, but it's healthcare in the impact of good planning. So a few things I'm going to be showing. It's going to be a ton of fun. 45 of you guys are here right now. This is recorded. So I'm talking to a lot of people right now. There's a few people on the call right now that are interviewing to work at Root. There's a few people that are current clients like Andy. There are a few people that are scheduled to talk to us in the future. So got a lot of different things. Andy's like, love hearing about Cobra versus ACA, all that good stuff. That's coming. Jeffrey, financial secret weapon. Ooh, look with the little trademark. Lucas, we can make that happen.
CFP board happening right now.
Okay, let's see, guys. So I'm going to start with the announcements. Now, here's the first one. Lucas and I don't have to do this. We love doing this. So I love doing it. Lucas loves doing it. But your comments, just like you guys are doing right now, this keeps it fun for us. So selfishly, if we did this, and there's a reason I like doing it this way versus a webinar, there's just not much interaction. So I'm talking and I'm hoping it's resonating, but I don't really know. So we want to do this for you and we want it to be fun. Now, I don't need any of you getting in car crashes. And some of you guys tell me you're driving and you want to respond, but you can't. I get that. But others of you, if you want and have the ability to, please do engage with us in the comments. It makes it more fun. Lucas, anything else on that?
No, that sounds good. Do not get in a car accident on the live.
Yeah, definitely. That would be very bad. I don't want to get sued live, so please.
You're not liable.
Next, what do I have here? I've got my announcements. So there are 3 ways that we work with clients. Now, one of these is a new announcement that I'll be going over. The first way is, let me pull this up on my other screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, wait, Lucas, have you seen James's LinkedIn post today? Don't say if you've read through it, but have you seen it?
Hey, no.
Okay, don't look. I'm going to share it to you and everyone in just a second because it's the greatest LinkedIn post in the history of LinkedIn. So there's 3 ways to work with us. This is option 1. This is our academy. Now, who is this good for? if you're in your 30s or 40s and 50s and you're like, look, I don't really know if I need an advisor yet because I'm not worried. Like I'm just adding new money. I'm not close to retiring. I just want to run with my own projections and see what I know and don't know. And it's a good starting spot. Now, I'm going to be very clear. It is a great spot to start, but I will often get emails like I'm going to show you now. So that is level 1 of like, hey, where do I even start? Level 2, I'm going to pull up, and thank you, Lucas is dropping in that. Derek's like, I love the Academy. Awesome. That's what it's there for. Level 2 is what I'm going to show you right now. And everyone on the call is at a different stage of life. So we're lucky and we get to add new ways for everyone to get guidance. So level 2 is this one right here. This is being announced for the first time on this call right now. So you guys will have the first chance to book this, and Lucas is going to drop the comment for this. This is someone, I blocked their name, but they said, hey, Ari, I just signed up for this and I'm very excited. I initially purchased your early retirement academy, but I think I really do need the more personal touch. Plus, I don't have a lot of time to be futzing around with the software. I thought my technical savvy would get me through it, but I just haven't found the time, energy to get through it. So they said, would you be able to refund the initial fee from the academy since I'm just going to be doing this? So what on earth is this guy talking about? What this guy is talking about is this right here. So this is an option that I mentioned via email today. This is a 90-minute power planning call. Now, it's 90 minutes with me and you. So hypothetically, Lucas and I, the weapon, we would be having a conversation, but I'm spending a lot of time before and after the call. So who is this for? This is ideal if you're like, look, maybe I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 55, I'm 60. I've got $2 million, but it's in my 401k. I have an advisor. They're a close friend. I actually just want to manage my money. I like tax law. I have an advisor. I just want a second opinion. What am I missing? It's a one and done kind of a thing. So it's not ideal for clients that go, well, I want like ongoing proactive guidance. Like that's the best people. But in my opinion, I don't see a lot of people helping people who have between 500,000 to 2 million. So that's what this option is for. This is if you're like, look, I'm kind of in limbo. The academy is good, but I still don't have peace of mind. I still don't know what I should be doing. And I say it's please do not do, let me be clear, and I'm going to stop sharing for this part. Do not buy this if you don't go through the academy first and feel you get peace of mind. Because some people go, look, this is awesome. I've got peace of mind. I'm doing the academy. It's not perfect, but I don't really need perfect. It's good enough. If you're like, look, I've got between 500,000 to 2 million, I recommend working with us when someone's, generally 1 to 3 years out from retirement, if not in retirement already. And we can do what we're talking about, the tax, the withdrawal, the healthcare. There's a lot of stuff we can do, and there's a lot of stuff we talk about that we can't start doing. So some people are like, look, I just don't even know if I'm invested well. Some people are like, I know I'm not invested well. I don't know what to do. So this is a good one and done optimization call. Now, let me be honest. Some of you don't need this. Some of you are like, look, I'm good with the software. I want to do this in retirement. Time is not an issue. I've got nothing but time. I go, great, then go do it. So I want to have something. And then the ultimate reason that people are working with us is for the proactive and ongoing management. Now, I'll be very honest. Most people reach out going, look, I need tax help. I need estate and withdrawal and healthcare, and I don't want to do this in retirement. So for people that are like, yeah, I want the whole package, this I only recommend when someone generally is north of $2 million that we can manage for you today, not because I'm mean, but because that's when I can add value. So that's everything. That's all the tax and income and withdrawal and estate. And it's a proactive, I'm just showing you guys this. This is the first 1 to 2 months working with us. It's income and then healthcare and then investments and taxes and security, and with every single meeting, and I'm not saying this is all of you, but most people go, oh yeah, I've got a tax preparer right now and they're helping with tax prep, but they're not telling me like, hey, what if I sell real estate? And what about healthcare, which is what today's live is going to be about? What about IRMA and estate planning and charitable giving and Roth conversions and So what we're doing is much deeper. You can't obviously tackle all of that in an hour and a half. So we have to pick and choose, but we have options. You just want to software access, go for it. If you go through it and decide you want to go to the next level, go to the next level. But I want something for everyone. So here's Andy. Thank you for your comment. Andy works with us. Andy works with Chris. Chris is awesome. And Andy probably, tell me if I'm wrong here, Andy, but you probably have some friends and neighbors that maybe don't have 2 million and you still want them to get guidance. Well, this might be a good option for them. So just want to help as many people as we can as we grow. So hopefully all good for you guys on options. Now, I mentioned other announcements. So guys, for those of you on LinkedIn, I saw the greatest LinkedIn post of my whole life today, and I'm going to show it to you right now. And if you don't already know, there's so much when it comes to all of the estate tax withdrawal. It becomes a lot. Andy's like, yep, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to share my screen. You guys are inside my LinkedIn profile. Now, when you sign up to be a content creator, there's not like a form you fill out, all right? You just start posting videos. So if you don't follow James, and if you don't know this, because some of you get surprised, James is my partner. So James and I, we're doing the content here at Root, and he just put a comment out an hour ago who says, the benefits of starting a YouTube channel are countless, but the best part, it's got to be the friends you make along the way. You guys got to look at some of these comments because they are so funny. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but if you can go, I mean, look at some of these are just, it's funny and silly. You know, it's kind of hard to take seriously advice from someone that looks like a popcorn fart, Very, okay. Your advice is solid, but if you look like a porn star, no one will take you seriously. I mean, guys, this is as good as it gets, okay? So if you want the best LinkedIn content, make sure to check out James. He is my partner if you're not familiar. Now, guys, the guest, Cole, who is going to be joining us, he's our healthcare expert. He's going to come on in just a few minutes. I'm going to introduce him. It's going to be awesome. I just want to get through a few more logistics. So once again, let's see, Michael. Ari, have you heard of the subreddit LinkedIn Lunatics? If not, great bedtime scroll. James might end up there after this. I've not heard of that, but that's awesome. Drew, looks like this started before 3:30. Drew, you don't even know what happened before 3:30, Drew. I told everyone an investment that guarantees 1,000% return. So, and it's not even recorded. So you're just, I'm sorry, Drew. It's just going to be tough luck, man. No, Drew, anyone that is, I reward punctuality because when you go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, we're going to take you just a little bit. And then you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. Like if they would have told me, hey, Ari, we're going to see you. It's just going to be 30 more minutes. I'm like, great. Now I know. But when they don't ever tell you when you're going to get seen, it's frustrating. So Drew, you didn't miss anything important. You can go back for 10 minutes and see the recommendation. Everyone, I told them all the crypto that they need. Just kidding. Andy, certified porn star financial planner. Andy, we might have a new nickname for James after this. And Lucas, what do you think?
Yeah, I just wonder what the annual dues are for that one.
Oh, the annual dues are significant. Okay, caregiver. I just want to know how that guy knows what a popcorn fart looks like. That's a good point, caregiver life. Okay. Michael's like 2 million in Bitcoin to the moon. Is this whole thing going to be on GameStop, Ari? That's why I showed up here. You right, Michael? All right. Let's go here. Ooh, Drew coming back with some comments. The bad news is 1,000% of zero is still zero. Well, Drew, I'm sorry, but I hope you have more than zero. Okay. Now we're going to talk. Let me look at my other announcements. Okay. So the software, Lucas put it in the chat. Through the end of the year, I offered those calls. I'm putting that in there. If you want to work with Root, Lucas is going to ask some questions and put links in there. The community. So the update is, yes, we're going to have a community, but there's some compliance and other things that are coming along. So there's a delay there. Woods. Lucas, I think we're making it. Woods, I appreciate it. Had to turn off Kramer to tune into this. Okay, Woods. Well, I'm going to have to, I haven't seen a lot of Kramer, but I think he's the guy, the bald guy yelling, you got to buy this stock if you don't buy this stock. So Woods, I'll go just take some drugs. I'm not going to tell you what drugs. So if I come back, maybe it feels Kramer-esque being here. Okay. No, caregivers like always turn off Kramer. Okay. Community on the way. Yes. So it's on the way. The reason I want the community is because it's one thing to hear it from me. It's one thing for Andy or Drew or Michael to get to talk to each other and go, hey guys, you maybe didn't see this, but I clicked this one thing in the academy that Ari forgot to put in there because he was lazy. And so you got to make sure to do this. So want you guys to all communicate with each other. I just want to be efficient about this and I want to set it up properly. So it's on the way. Many of you guys have sent me notes. Now, I am going to be more active on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on that, it's just an option. Just look up my name. I have not been too proactive on that, but I'm just looking it up. I forgot if it's my name or if there's like a username, but I found it right here. So if you want to follow on Instagram, I'll be doing more stuff on there. So just an option. Lucas, I'm going to put that in the chat just because I have it here. You can feel free to follow there. And then I mentioned this again, but now there's 150 of you here. So it first started, there's 50 and more people are coming in. Please be active in here. Now, if you're driving, don't respond. Don't need a lawsuit while I'm live. But I want to make sure if you are enjoying this content, I'm going to be asking questions. It makes it fun for us. We're going to be engaging. Thank you, Lucas, putting in LinkedIn and all of that stuff. Lucas, can you put my OnlyFans in there as well? No, I'm just kidding, guys.
Yeah, I'll search for that link.
What'd you say?
James's OnlyFans?
Yeah, James's OnlyFans. We'll have to. We'll stay away from that for now. But okay, let's see. Other than that, that's okay, guys. That's what I wanted to go through. Now, I'm going to introduce our guest, and I'm actually going to bring him in right now, and then I'm going to give you the 2-second kind of overview, and then I want to start getting some healthcare stuff. So we're starting 4 minutes past. My plan was 15 minutes past. We'd let him in, but he's such a cool guy. I want to let him in case he needs to go. So Cole, you are a legend for being here. I'm going to shift the screen a little bit so that we all get to be here. So guys, obviously I'm here, Lucas, the financial weapon, and this is Cole. So I'm going to shift the screen, and Cole, I'm going to make you the big man.
So good.
Cole is the co-founder of MoveHealth. He is the one that, let's go back up here. One of you was going, and Cole, I think you had joined. You may have seen this, but here we go. Cheetah B5. Yep. Healthcare is my biggest worry.
See it all the time.
Doesn't need to be. So yeah, Cole is going to be here and help answer questions and go through what it is his team does, because this is a big worry. So we're going to do a case study in a little bit, but Cole, if you don't mind, I'm just going to give you the floor. Tell people what it is you do, what makes MoveHealth different, and why people don't need to worry about healthcare if they're smart.
For sure. Ari, thanks for having me. Lucas, I met you via email like 20 minutes ago. So excited to be on with the financial secret weapon. I hear there's like a lot of different terms floating around for you out there, but man, excited to be here and, fired up to talk about healthcare and health insurance specifically. Not everybody wakes up and says, man, I can't wait to dive into health insurance today. Most people don't do that. But,
only Lucas.
But yeah, exactly. Only Lucas does. Lucas and I. That's why we're going to get along so well. But we, MoveHealth. We are, our thought process and our mission statement is that we serve forward-thinking financial advisors and clients across the country with expert healthcare planning guidance, right? And so that's kind of a buzzwordy way of saying that, we help people that are in this early retiree segment to quit their jobs, and many times that is because of health insurance. Health insurance can be the gating factor for them for retirement. And so, quick statistics that are out there, and Ari, you've probably shared these a million times on your channel, but there's 40 million Americans between 55 and 64, and many of which are sitting down with a financial advisor or are in an academy or on this live today that are saying, I would love to retire tomorrow. I'm financially ready to retire tomorrow, but health insurance. Right. And so our goal at MoveHealth is to demystify health insurance, make it simple and clear. That's our mission, to help folks to walk through the process of what it looks like to say, I'm nervous about healthcare and retirement. What's this going to look like for me? I don't know what the gap years between now and Medicare look like. How can MoveHealth help? And then we get to work with them, our health plan advisors that, are serving people every single day, get to work with clients and early retirees. I actually just did some data analysis on our end. It's every 10 minutes, there is a new early retiree that hits our calendar and says, I want to talk about health insurance. And so super easy to do that. We'll give you some contact info at the end. And this is not a sales pitch by any means, but just want to add some value. Excited to be here and talk about health insurance planning, because we know it's a major concern for early retirees. And, just looking through the comments here and seeing, there are, a ton of folks that are out there that are concerned about this. And so, hey, Tim, I got the first shout out from Tim in there. So, and then Patrick says, I love the first video I watched with Cole. One of the things that spurred me to get more involved with my parents' retirement mess. So exactly. The whole reason I'll give just the brief background of why we started MoveHealth. My in-laws walked through this exact scenario. They were 60 years old. They had just had their first grandchild was just born. They wanted to spend more time with their grandkids. And they said, okay, we're financially ready to retire. My financial advisor says I can retire. Kids are through college, house is paid off. We're in a really good spot. And then their financial advisor, not knowing any better and not their fault, told them that health insurance was going to cost $28,000 a year out of a popular financial planning software. And my father-in-law, this is like his key phrase that I quote all the time, was he said, "I don't hate my job that much." And so, today, September 25th is when we're recording this. Today, there is someone sitting across the desk from a financial advisor or looking something up online and seeing that health insurance is not affordable, or it's bad coverage, or it's difficult to obtain. You can't get it because you have a pre-existing condition. And so we set out with MoveHealth to help people make life's big moves. So our name is very intentional through healthcare planning. And so we do that alongside financial advisors, and we do that alongside, early retirees very often. So Ari, hopefully that's like a good stump speech, but like, listen, you and I vibe, Lucas, we're going to vibe. So let's just get into it. Talk about what we want to cover off on.
That was perfect, Cole. Yeah, let's get into some fun stuff. So what I love about what Cole's doing, and look at this, some of the comments, like Andrew here is like, dude, I do hate my job that much. And I want to know, like, when can I be done? So I love, guys, this makes it fun here. Chris, hey, my wife thinks the same thing, that healthcare is going to cost $40,000 a year. So guys, this is very real stuff. It's one thing to hear it from me. I'm an advisor. Cole's here running the whole healthcare world. We want you to not pay more than you need to. And we want you to know the earliest time that you go, look, I'm working because I want to, not because I have to. So we're going to get to some of these questions. We won't be able to get to every single one, but I want to switch gears and put us into this mode here. And I'm going to be sharing my screen. So what I want to start with, and Cole, the fact that just you guys do everything you do is just so legendary, because I cannot tell you, I did not think when I started the early retirement podcast or the YouTube channel, I'd be hearing about scary healthcare events, and good luck quantifying your health on a spreadsheet. And a lot of people are like, look, I'm just worried. So I thought the best way to start I'm going to show a case study just so you guys can loosely see, wait, why is this so important? And why do we get serious about this? Because people overlook it. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you this. And then Cole, I'm going to come in for your insight. Cool. So this on my screen, this is something inside the Academy. So if you want to get access to the same exact tool I'm going to show you today, this is in the Early Retirement Academy. This is someone who lives in Portland. Their first name is just Sample. This is their county. They're 57 and 60. And they're like, look, we don't really know what our income's going to be when we retire. Could be 50,000, could be 100,000, could be zero. Like they don't even know, but they didn't even know, like, what might that even cost? And there's a lot of different things when it comes to healthcare, and it's overwhelming very quickly. So you can see on my screen here, sometimes it's $0 a month. Sometimes it's $140 a month. Sometimes it's $300 a month. And so what I want you to think about is healthcare needs to be considered in light of the whole plan. So on my screen, if you guys are on your phone watching, I know it's small, I'm going to zoom in. Morgan here is going, I'm in the same boat as you, Cheetah. I don't even know, what do I do with healthcare? I think it's $40 million a year. We're going to make sure you guys know the impact of this. So on my screen, I have a sample. Now, the way I'm going to go through this with you is very intentional. I'm going to turn something off, and I want to show you guys how. Now, if you are in the Academy right now going, what on earth is this guy doing? It is in the retirement analysis and comparison section, okay? So here's a couple. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. We're going to go to their family, 60 and 57 with a 23-year-old child. You can see when we look at their investments, they have $1.6 million. 450 of that is in a 401k. 620 is an IRA. So that's pre-tax money. And then they've got the superhero account. Guys, if you know what the superhero means, just drop an S in the chat. So superhero, brokerage, taxable, joint. Make sure, let us know. Drop an S in the chat if you know what the superhero is. Now, I'm going to show you what Cole's work does and the importance of it. So here's a couple. And right now, they are 59 with $1.6 million. So 60 and 57. Now, they're on track for $10 million. They don't want $10 million. They were very clear to me that they don't want $10 million. But they didn't know, do we retire earlier? Do we work longer? They just were unclear. So I said, hey, guys, what if you stopped working, and let's just assume it was a year earlier. I'm not saying you have to, but like, what if you just stopped working now? And they're like, I don't know if I could stop working now. And I go, it would be a big impact. I mean, it's $2 million fewer dollars and it's significant. And they said, so you agree we shouldn't do it? I said, well, let's hold on, because your health care, as of now, you put in that both you and your spouse are going to spend $6,000 a year from now until Medicare at 65. So that's like, what, 8 years for your wife and 5 for you. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly right. I go, well, because of Cole and the work his team does, if we're intentional about this and we're keeping our income in certain thresholds, we could be spending 100, 300 bucks a month. So what if turns out we determine, we do some good planning, 2,000 a month, excuse me, 2,000 a year. So instead of 6,000 a year, 2,000 a year each, not a month. Well, if I just click refresh, watch what happens here. And let me be clear as to what I'm showing you. What I'm showing is this couple optimized their healthcare situation. Yep. There's 250,000 fewer dollars, but there's still plenty left over, and they just got a year of their life back doing whatever it is they want to do. So, Cole, do you mind sharing a little bit about just healthcare costs? What does this even mean? Bronze, silver, gold, income. How can you change income? And why is it when someone puts 150,000 here, these numbers jump up so much? Like, what's going on here? If you don't mind just sharing some insight there.
Yeah, of course. Really, really good question. So, this is something that we cover off on all the time, which is, folks don't always understand that your income and your health insurance in early retirement, many times, and I will say most of the time, are directly correlated, right? So we're talking about modified adjusted gross income, which is very, very similar to your adjusted gross income or your AGI, but modified adjusted gross income is the number that the marketplace looks at. And why is the marketplace looking at your income? Like, that's the big zoom out question. Why is that? Well, if you remember, Obamacare was written into law in 2010. It was the biggest piece of healthcare legislation ever been passed. And then 2014, the marketplace came along, and the marketplace, Obamacare, the ACA marketplace, whatever you reference it as, said, you need to be able to go onto the marketplace. If you're responsible for buying your own health insurance, you need to be able to get health insurance. The biggest change it made is without any medical underwriting, right? So if you have a pre-existing condition, there's a lot of people that will say, I had cancer 2 years ago, or I had a heart attack because my job is so stressful, or whatever it might be, or I've got this ongoing chronic condition. I can't get health insurance if I leave my job. That's no longer the case, right? The Affordable Care Act made it so that it is a guaranteed issue. Now, if you know how insurance companies work, or insurance carriers, they saw a guaranteed issue and they went, holy smokes, what are we going to do? We have to cover everybody. So the Affordable Care Act, when the marketplace began in 2014, insurance premiums, health insurance premiums went up 300% overnight. Right. So that happened in 2014. That's reality. And so when that took place, the 300%, increase, the federal government, the Obama administration, they knew that was going to happen when they made it guaranteed issue. And so they created this thing called the Advanced Premium Tax Credit, or APTC. You may hear it referenced as subsidy or just tax credits on the marketplace. We're going to reference it as subsidies today, just so we're clear. But these subsidies are federal dollars that are earmarked to help cover the cost of health insurance premiums on the Affordable Care Act marketplace based upon your modified adjusted gross income. So the important things to note is that modified adjusted gross income, they're only looking at it for the current year, right? So the federal government, the IRS, they're only looking at it for the current year. And so they're going to say, what are you estimating your modified adjusted gross income to be in 2025? And then we're going to base the subsidies that you receive on that estimate. Now, if you overshot your income that you estimated by a lot, you'll have to pay some of those subsidies back. If you undershot your income, you'll actually receive some of that in a refund, because the federal government will say you overpaid for your health insurance through the year. But that's how modified adjusted gross income is totally related to your health insurance. And so, there are early retirees, and we work with high net worth, ultra high net worth folks all the time that have a lot of dollars in post-tax buckets. And they can make their modified adjusted gross income look like a 62-year-old couple that makes $30,000 a year. And so you have someone that has $5 million in the bank that's spending $0 a month on their health insurance on the marketplace. There's a ton of great questions that I've seen kind of float through on, like, What about the coverage on the marketplace? Those things, we can talk about that in a little bit, but that's the direct correlation between modified adjusted gross income and your health insurance in early retirement, talking about the marketplace specifically.
Beautiful. I'm going to connect that, Cole, to just from a financial planning brain real quick. Like, how do we actually control income? Like, how does this work? Let me give you a few myths and mistakes people make, okay? So the first mistake I see is, look, I don't know. I think my wife's a nice person, excuse me, but maybe I just make the wife keep working. Let's make the wife, at least we get healthcare coverage. Now you're not even hanging out with your spouse. And
Yep.
I don't want you to see you make that mistake. And I see that where people go, look, at least we're getting healthcare coverage. Hey guys, it could be $200 a month. It could be $150 a month. It could be less than that. So don't put your spouse to work just for the sake of it.
We always say that, health insurance is not the reason to delay retirement. There are very good reasons to delay retirement. Health insurance, there's too many ways to access it that it shouldn't be the blocker. So
beautiful. The next one is, let's assume you're like, I want to retire and I want dividends. Well, dividends sound great. And I like dividends too. But let's assume you've got $1 million in a brokerage account. You have a high dividend strategy. Well, dividends and interest, that increases your income. So now that might be impacting a lot of this healthcare stuff we discussed. So just to show you an example, when I go back to this screen here, you're going to see, if let's assume I talk to someone and they go, Ari, I've got all this income coming in, $150,000 a year. Well, if we look at $150,000 a year, you are going to see right in the upper corner here, it'll say likely eligible for financial help. Now, if we scroll down here, the crossed out number, this is what you would have to pay, but you don't have to. And the reason for that is because you're getting these advanced premium tax credits. So you're only paying this amount. Now, $1,000 a month is still a lot, but I want to make sure that none of you are making the mistake of just going, well, healthcare, let's try to keep that cost as low as possible, because if your income was $25,000 a year and you're like, this is awesome, we're getting $2,000 a month in premium tax credits, our income is so low. Well, there's another mistake that can occur there. So Cole, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, there's a couple mistakes. So your income can be too high to qualify for these subsidies. And there's some numbers, the figure you need to look at is 8.5% of your modified adjusted gross income is what your premiums on the marketplace will not go above for kind of the middle of the road plan. So you can go above it, right? If you're making $500,000 a year and the whole cost of a healthcare plan does not make up 8.5% of your income, you're not going to get those subsidies on the marketplace. So it kind of works like a sliding scale. The lower your income goes, the more of those subsidies you receive. Now, the reverse of that can be true. If you drive your income too low, you then get into a scenario where they may try to push you to, or you may qualify for Medicaid, which if you have, that's when they start looking at assets and do means testing and things along those lines where you wouldn't qualify for it. So there are times where we're working with clients and they're saying, well, I can show $0 in modified adjusted gross income. We say, well, we should probably go make a little bit, because we don't want you accidentally having to walk through the Medicaid process, which is typically a state-based, healthcare program for low-income individuals. We don't want people to have to walk through that process if they're not going to qualify for it. And so we're helping people to say, hey, we actually, if you're a couple in the U.S., you probably need to make about $28,000 in modified adjusted gross income to be above that threshold. So hopefully that's helpful, Ari.
Super helpful. I'm going to make a change of my shirt, and I'm going to tell you guys literally why I'm about to change my shirt.
Here we go.
It was announced on the first live, and I'm going to explain the third major reason you don't want your income too low and why we need to be intentional. Now, while I make this quick change, and it'll be quick, Cole, do you mind just answering one or two questions that you see? If there's one that pops out that you're like, yeah, this is a common one. Whether it's, hey, can I contact you guys? Do I email you? Do you have a wait list? Like anything like that, I'm going to turn my video off and I'll be back. I'm going to be audio here, but my video will be off. So all you, Cole.
I love it. Yeah. So there are a couple of good questions that I saw roll through. One of them that's important to note, and it's something we're totally transparent about at MoveHealth, is how do you get paid, right? What is MoveHealth's incentive to work with clients, right? So we are what's called an insurance brokerage, meaning that we work and partner with a lot of different insurance carriers, and we are looking at a variety of different options in the health insurance space to make certain that we're placing people with the right carrier. Now, all of that to be said, when a person is placed with a carrier, there is a compensation that comes from the carrier for placing that and keeping that policy on the books, right? And so MoveHealth is incentivized to put people in the right plan and make certain that they're happy and content there. So that's an important piece. But the way that we kind of get around that, and we work with Ari's team at Root often, and so they know this story. But our health plan advisors, our team members that are working often with clients, and Ari, you've worked really closely with Lindia. She's hosted some of your videos with you. Our health plan advisors are salary W-2 team members at MoveHealth, so they are not commissioned, compensated based upon enrollments into policies. That's a really important thing. We're reviewing things like COBRA coverage. We're reviewing things like retiree benefits, things along those lines. And so that's an important one just to get out of the way. But Ari, I see you are wearing a new shirt, so I'll stop talking and get into some more questions. There's the cauliflower.
Guys, I feel like I'm Rick Ross in this shirt. I feel like guys, this is the difference in planning. Tim's like, there's the shirt. Brian's like, eat a little cauliflower now so you can eat steak later. Some of you are like, I don't even know what this guy is doing with this dopey little vegetable shirt. So, guys, I'm going to give you an example as to why I'm wearing this and why this is the greatest gift I've ever received from anyone. And the reason is because let's assume most of your money is in a 401k or an IRA, like it is for many of you. What I'm going to ask you to do, and you're not going to like me today, but you're going to love me later, is I'm going to say, guys, I know your income could be really low and you could qualify for healthcare and it's going to be awesome. And you're going to be like, Ari, I'm only paying $100 a month and thought it was going to be like 2 trillion, but there's a better solution. And sometimes the solution is we're going to do some Roth conversions. We're going to eat a little cauliflower today to avoid having to eat a lot of cauliflower later. Now you're like, why on earth would I do that? Well, the reason you would do that is, let's assume you could hypothetically pay for healthcare at $50 a month, okay? $50 a month. And I'm like, hey, Cole, Lucas, I know you want to spend $50 a month, but would you do me a huge favor and spend $1,500 a month? You're going to be like, what, are you crazy? You want to spend $1,500 a month? I go, I would love you to. And you're going to be like, why? I'm going to say, well, I think we're going to be able to save you way more than $18,000 a year. And you're like, well, that's kind of big talk for someone that looks as young as you look, And I'll be like, trust me, let me show you something. So let's assume you retire at 55. And for 10 years, I'm saying, I need you to spend $18,000 a month. You're going to be like, that kind of sucks. $18,000 a year. That's a lot of money, Ari. I'll be like, I know, but just trust me. $18,000 a year. I'm going to beg you to do that. And you're going to be like, what, you would show me to spend $180,000 over the next 10 years? And I'll say yes. And you're going to be like, why? And I'm going to say, this is why. Because sometimes if instead of prioritizing healthcare subsidies, I can make you $1.7 million more dollars, which is the same example of the couple I just showed you who want to do heavy Roth conversions. And so Roth conversions are going to increase your income. What that's going to do is that's going to make it so when you're on the MoveHealth and you're talking to them, your income is now $200,000 because we're doing a Roth conversion. Your income's going to be much greater. You're going to be spending $1,400 a month. Now, here's where planning gets really interesting. What if you were, I'm just going to take an example. Let's say you're 60. If you're 60 and you go, I think I'm going to have to do some of these conversions because if I don't, when I'm 75 or 73, those required distributions are going to hit me. And I don't even know what I'm going to do then. Am I even going to be alive then? Well, let's assume you're alive. Well, what's going to happen is you're going to probably have Social Security. You're going to have to take distributions. You might have a pension. You might have rental income. You might have inheritance. And all of this might be happening when you're spending less than the earlier years of your retirement when you had your energy and your health. So I want to make sure that you are not paying more than you need to in healthcare, but I also want to make sure you're not just going, I'm going to take advantage of the little bit I'm paying today when there could be millions or hundreds of thousands that you could be making instead. So lots of options here. Cole, any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we see this often. I think that you and I have done a video on this before, so you can go check that out on the YouTube channel. We see people that really get hung up in both directions, right? So some people are saying, I want to optimize like crazy for health insurance, and then they end up kicking themselves when they turn 72 and they're eating cauliflower for every single meal. And the reverse of that, right now, Roth conversions aren't fun to do because they're going to contribute to your modified adjusted gross income, enhance your income, and then reduce those subsidies you receive, ergo increasing your health insurance premiums, right? And so there's usually, it comes down to a blend of the two, right? Hey, I want to have a reasonable health insurance cost, but I also don't want to, kick myself down the road when I'm paying a crazy amount in RMDs or having to take a ton of RMDs or whatever it might be. And so, it's usually a blend, right? There's very rarely a situation where we go, this is the rule of thumb in financial planning or in healthcare planning. And so from our perspective, we say, it depends, right? And it really depends on your unique situation. And I think a lot of times the reason people want to optimize for health insurance costs right out of the jump is because they feel those dollars right now in the current year, right? So they're 58 years old and they're paying $0 a month for their health insurance. This is awesome, right? It's great. But then down the road, they're kicking themselves and they're saying, well, I saved $18,000 a year when I was 58 through 65, but I'm spending a lot more on that in taxes now than I needed to, right? So it's usually a blend of the two for sure.
Beautiful. You couldn't have said it better, Cole. Now, Drew asked a question here. Is there a sweet spot income to report? Drew, there isn't. It's not a rule of thumb. There's not a sweet spot. I'd say, Drew, how much do you want to spend in retirement? When are you going to retire? You've got, what's inheritance looking like? Do you have a pension, rental income, Social Security? If there was a sweet spot, this would be really easy. And I promise I'd make this live 1 minute. But we want to make sure we're giving you good guidance. And that's why we don't do cookie cutter planning. So awesome question there. Now, Cole, want to make sure people know where to find you. Now, I am sharing, I'm going to pull this up here. I know we're putting the link in there as well.
Yeah, of course.
You've been more than gracious with your time. Now, if there's one or two questions, you're like, Ari, I'm not going to sleep at night if I can't answer this question. Go for it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm going to pull up your website so people know how to reach you.
Yep, for sure. So I'll answer a couple. I think that there was one about the difference between, Andy said what's the difference between silver and gold plan on the marketplace? They're all covering the same exact things. Bronze, silver, and gold all cover the same things. The difference is actuarial values. And so what you're going to get with a gold plan, this is a really good topic. So Andy, I'm really glad that you asked it. A gold plan is going to have lower copays, maybe lower deductibles. But the kicker is most of the time they're going to have very, very similar maximum out of pockets. So a maximum out of pocket is inclusive of your deductible. That's basically what it's saying is that's the most you're going to spend while covered by that plan for healthcare expenses. And so when we're looking at this with a client, we're saying, hey, you're an early retiree. And if a bronze plan is $100 and a silver plan is $250 and a gold plan is $1,000, but the gold plan and the silver plan have identical maximum out of pockets or financial risk exposures, we're saying juice is not worth the squeeze to pay the extra, $750 a month to carry a plan that has a lower copay, right? So that's a really, really good question. There's no real difference between those. The difference that you're going to see is in copays, is in deductibles, but many times the maximum out of pockets are very, very similar. Why would the gold plan be cheaper than the silver plan? That is, a rare occasion in a specific zip code. So that can be dependent upon to a specific area. And so there's a lot of great questions in here. Let me see. There was one other one that was about HSAs. I don't know, Lucas, if you can track that one down. There was a question about HSAs specifically. Can you use your HSA account to pay for health insurance until Medicare kicks in? This is an awesome question. And the answer is no. You cannot use an HSA to pay for your premiums until Medicare kicks in. You cannot do that, but you can still use it to pay for medical expenses. And HSA is a really valuable tool. Ari or a financial planner might tell you to keep your HSA and not spend it now and save it for long-term care in the future. But there's a lot of things that you can do with an HSA. Paying for your health insurance premiums is not one of them pre-65.
Yeah, a few thoughts. So Cole, you're wrong on that. I would tell this person just put it all in Bitcoin. No, don't do that. What I would say, Andrew, if you wanted to pay for your HSA, the reason they don't let you do that, that's almost like going to the grocery store with your 401k and being like, hey, can I buy some eggs? And they'll be like, what are you like? Are you okay? Like, you can't do that. You have to pay taxes first. And like, it's just not allowed. So some of these things, there's just nuance involved. Cole, I'm going to share my screen so people can see your website and reach out. And let me be clear, guys, like we could partner with whoever we want. I don't get paid by Cole. Don't care if you use them or don't, except that's kind of a lie because they're the best. So you should use them, but I don't get paid by them. So you use whoever you want. I just want you to get the best. So if you want, you can go ahead and head to their movehealth.io. We're putting the link in here as well. Cole, you are a legend. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
We'll probably have you on in the future, but anything else you want to leave everyone with?
Man, I think that this is such an important piece of financial planning. Obviously, there's so many questions in there. I think the best point of action from here, if you still have questions and want to talk with us, go to movehealth.io. You can schedule a discovery call with us. It's a 20-minute conversation. We're not going to try and hard sell you something. These are just times for you to get in there, ask questions. Doesn't matter if you're 6 months out from retirement or if you're 5 years out and you just want a quick question answered. We've also got a contact form. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, wherever you want to find me at. I think there's so many good questions that are floating through here. Ari, we could spend literally an entire live just on this, and maybe we should once we get into an open enrollment period.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is that health insurance doesn't have to be a blocker for retirement. And obviously we have struck a chord with folks because there's so many questions flying through. Cole, after your last video with James, I connected with Jacqueline, have an appointment first thing November 1st to get her help for 25. So can't wait. I was so confused when selecting a plan for 24, right? So there's so many people that are confused. And so our goal at MoveHealth is make it simple and clear. And so we'd be honored to help you out. But if anything, do your research, become an informed, an empowered healthcare consumer, because it's a big, important part of healthcare planning, and budget for it, right? Ari, make certain that it's a line item and you're not letting it surprise you on the back end. So
don't let it surprise you. Love it. Drew here. That little bit of info about gold and silver being pretty identical in terms of max out of pocket is something I never heard before. It's a fantastic nugget. Awesome. Great question. Cole, thank you for being here, and we're certainly going to have you on again.
Of course. All right. Thank you all. See ya. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So guys, was that helpful? Please let us know. The Weapon and I, we want to only bring on the best guests. We want to make sure we're making the most of our time together here. So Lucas, thanks for running everything in the chat for all of that. Now, guys, once again, I could partner with whoever I want. I was on LinkedIn and I saw Lindia. Actually, Lindia is one of Cole's associates. Talk about healthcare. And I went, look, a lot of people have explained that, but the way you explained that actually made sense. So I want to make sure that all of you are getting the guidance you're actually looking for when it comes to an early retirement. Today, though, I do recognize that was a lot, okay? So if you're like, look, I think that was helpful, but I still don't know. All I kind of heard was premium. Did he say something beyond premium? And then Ari, you said something about conversions. Are you like converting your home? Like, is that a home remodel? No, it's different. But there's a lot of terms that get thrown around, and it becomes a lot really quickly. We have one video on YouTube that might be helpful for, actually we have two, but if you're on YouTube and you just search healthcare early retirement, Lucas, if you can drop this in, you can see this video, almost 100,000 views now, so you're not alone. This is health insurance for an early retirement. I did another video with Cole where we went into more detail. So this is level one of like, what does health insurance look like? And how do I think through this for an early retirement? I'm not the person below there. But you can see if you have questions about healthcare and you want more detail, like, look, the most valuable thing you all have is your time. So when people that end up working with Root, they're like, look, I came for the tax and the estate and the withdrawal and the healthcare, but now I realize I don't want to do this. This is a lot. There's like a new job in retirement. And I worked hard for 40 years to get what I have now. I'm happy to pay for time. Like, let me pay for my time. So I want to be efficient here. And the example I like to give is, I think I did this, I think I did it 2-3 lives ago, but I went to a doctor months ago. I said, hey doc, that sounded great. I think you think that sounded great. Don't know what you just said. So try again. And he's like, okay. So he starts explaining to me the lab that the pills are made in. And I said, doc, that's too much. I don't care what lab the pills are made in. Do I need the pill or do I not need the pill? And he's kind of doing too much analysis with the lab and then not enough and saying, just take this, trust me. I want to give you guys somewhere in the middle there. I want you to be like, hey, here's why healthcare is important. Don't overlook it. Now, if you have specific questions on conversions or ACA or what if I go out of the country? I saw a lot of comments on that. You don't want to do that wrong. And that could be the difference of lots of money. So that's why people that are experts exist, in the same way you guys are all experts in what you do. Now, Lucas, you're getting some good praise in here, some comments coming in here. Guys, literally last week was 2 weeks ago was such a mess. Hank's like, I didn't even know what I was doing last week. So Lucas, thank you. You're getting all the praise here. Lucas, in 20, 30 years, when I'm ready to retire and you're the VP at Root, I volunteer to be your first live. And what a legendary comment. Michael, I'm taking a screenshot of this right now. You got to save this and put this into some file. So, Michael, that's awesome. Lucas, any thoughts from Michael?
I'm flattered. 20, 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 20, 30
That's
years.
awesome.
More like 2 to 3 years than you're the VP. Love that. So, guys, a lot of different things today on healthcare. PETA, yep, so helpful. Chris, that was awesome. Jim, yes. I'm hit up consistently. Hey, can I be a guest on the show? And trust me, what I have to say is more important than anything anyone's ever said on the planet Earth. I'm like, look, I'm sure you got some good stuff to say, but I've seen lots of people say that. So I'm very hesitant. I like running this and giving you guys what I feel is like not the lab, but also not just like trust me and it's kind of fluff content. I want to go somewhere in the middle there. So hopefully that's helpful. Andy, how do we tie conversation with Move to the plan Root is creating me? Andy, so when you speak to Move, think about Move like they are, let me give you a better example. Let's think about, imagine all of your money, Andy, and I'm just going to pick someone else just for example, because Andy, you're a client, but I'll answer your question. Let's assume all of your guys' money was at Vanguard. So Lucas, let's just assume all your money is at Vanguard. Vanguard is the house, okay? So that's just where you live. Lucas can say, I want 3 couches and I want 4 windows. Now, Lucas probably doesn't want any windows because in Florida, there's crocodiles that will climb in. But let's assume he was not in Florida and he was in Idaho. He's probably not worried about crocodiles. He wants a ton of windows. Well, windows and couches and chandeliers, that is a plan. So that's me being like, we're going to do this with healthcare, this with taxes, this with withdrawal, this with insurance. I'm an interior designer. That's really what I am inside of Vanguard or inside of Schwab. So Andy, you're going to speak to MoveHealth and they're going to be like, here's everything you could possibly ever need to know about this chandelier. And then you're going to go to Chris and Chris is going to be like, here's where the chandelier should be. You really don't want it in the bedroom because it's going to be way too bright. You're really going to want it in the dining room, but imagine it's on all the time. Well, that might be a little bit much. Maybe we have it on during Thanksgiving. So those are the ways that conversations get tied into your advisor. So let's assume you guys came to me and one of the common examples and myths and risks that I see, because many of you know this, but some of you don't. I spend a lot of my days doing what's called revisional planning, which means someone comes to me and they retire early. And I had someone say, Ari, I retired early at 73. And I'm like, look, I don't want to be mean, but it's just not that early. I have clients who are like 45 and 50 retiring. And they're like, you don't understand. I said, tell me. They're like, I'm retiring again, meaning I retired early, but not successfully. I overspent the first 10 years of my retirement. I didn't look at markets. I didn't have any withdrawal strategy. So I'm like, what the heck do I do? And I'm like, what you don't want to do is retire early, have a home remodel, travel, healthcare, and really a lack of an investment strategy, overspend, and now you could be okay in retirement, but it's going to be tough. I want to protect against that. And the way you do that is you have a successful holistic strategy. So for anyone that's trying to make sure that they don't run the risk of running out of money and don't retire too early, you have to do some bulletproofing. And the way you bulletproof a plan, for example, is with something called umbrella insurance. Now, umbrella insurance is only sold in increments of, Lucas, do we know?
1 million.
1 million, dead on. So it's sold in increments of $1 million. So there's 3 types of insurance. I made this up, okay? Not real. If you look it up, what's Ari's insurance? You won't get anything, okay? You'll just get a gif of Lucas laughing at you, okay? So there's, Lucas is like, yep. So underinsured, overinsured, and unnecessarily insured. I don't want you underinsured. That's the worst case possible. I don't need you unnecessarily paying for something either. That's just doesn't make sense. I do want you overinsured. So the third one here that's really important is you can't just go buy $500,000 of umbrella insurance. But let me give you an example because you're like, this all sounds good, but like, what the heck are you talking about? So let's assume I was going to sell you umbrella insurance and I'm an umbrella. Let's assume I'm an insurance agent. I'm going to go, Lucas, just trust me. All right. I'm a nice guy. I know I've got a little dopey shirt on, but just trust me. I want you to match your net worth to the umbrella insurance coverage. And Lucas is like, I don't know anything better. So let me just trust you on this. I mean, you are the expert. But what very well may be occurring is Lucas is being overcharged, or Lucas is overcharging me, whoever your insurance agent is, because in reality, if you have something called a 401k, that has inherent ERISA protection. So what on earth does that mean? Well, let's assume your net worth is $3 million. And I'm going to pretend Lucas is the insurance agent, okay? I go to Lucas. I go, Lucas, got this 401k. I got 2 million of Bitcoin, but I lost it because I forgot my password. So it's just such a bummer. So I've got that 401k. I've got a brokerage account. I've got some cash, and then I got a home. So I've got like $3 million, okay? And you're going to be like, Ari, OMG, I can save everything. Just buy a $3 million umbrella policy. And I'll be like, you got it. Like, that's what you think I need? I'm doing it. But I'd go, hey, Lucas, you sold me this $3 million policy, but I've got this 401k and I saw it has ERISA protection, which means I'm protected by creditors. So am I like overinsured maybe? And you're like, don't worry about that. Never too much thing as too much protection. And I'm like, ooh, well, I think maybe I'm overcharged. So my point here is, if I'm looking at this couple, just to give you a real basic example here, this couple, let's look at their situation. Net worth, $2.5 million. Investments, 1.6. So Lucas, it's okay if you don't know the next answer, because this is a nuanced thing. And part of this, just so all of you know, is literally we're using for training and different models. And there's advisors watching this call as well that work at Root. So the 401k, this has ERISA protection. So if the net worth is 2.6 million, I don't want someone underinsured, which means my first gut goes to maybe we buy a $3 million policy. Because if we bought a $2 million policy, they might not be covered. But they've got $450,000 in a 401k, which is totally covered. And then they've got $620,000 in an IRA. Lucas, do you happen to know how much coverage you get in an IRA or Roth IRA?
Typically it's 1 million.
It's all the way up to 1.5. So up to 1.5. This means that if something happened and Lucas comes and gets bit by a crocodile and he's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, that crocodile tries to take Lucas's money. He can't. Okay, this is protected from creditors to 1.5 million. But Lucas, is the superhero account protected?
Nope. And so what is the smallest amount of coverage that you can get?
You're exactly right. $1 million, and it's not covered, and neither is cash. So what that means is superhero account, this is a brokerage account. This $610,000 in addition to any cash. So that's $15,000 right there. And if they have a home or investment property, they might want separate insurance. So this is something that's not going to be the sexiest meeting ever, but it's important. And I saw a lack of an insurance ruin a retirement because someone had future earnings. Excuse me. I just get so choked up about this stuff. I had someone who their future earnings are not protected. So creditors can come after that. They can come after their superhero account. So if God forbid they get sued or something happens, it's just a big risk and you don't want to run it. So I just gave you a quick umbrella example, but I could do the same thing on taxes and estate and withdrawal and all of this. So lots of stuff so far today. I have a few more things I want to go over, a few things I want to share. Jeff's going, yep, good info, probably overpurchased our umbrella. You can bring that down, Jeff. Not a big deal, but I just don't want you paying for more. And once again, guys, this is super cheap insurance. I had someone, I didn't get in a fight with, but they're a client. They're like, Ari, I don't want this. Like, I'm not going to get sued. I'm not worried about this. I go, you don't do it, you're fired. They're like, really? I go, not really. But like, look, I'm not going to sleep well if you don't have umbrella insurance, and it's a big risk. And they got in a car crash. Now they were okay, and they were going to win the lawsuit anyway, but them having umbrella insurance threw out the lawsuit because they were like, we're not going to win this at all. So yeah, they paid $300 a year, quote unquote, unnecessarily, but they have peace of mind. They just avoided 6 months worth of a lawsuit, and like, good luck quantifying that. So caregivers, like, I lost my Bitcoin in a boating accident. Oh, that's the worst. Me too. Me and Lucas were out just on private jets, and GV's like private key, not password. Oh, GV, I'm going to beat you up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. So there's something called the reconstitution date. And you're like, what did you just say? Lucas, have you ever heard of the reconstitution date?
Yeah.
Okay. So what this is for everyone who doesn't know, let's pretend for a second. I'm going to put you side by side with me, Lucas. Lucas is not a disciplined investor. All right. Now, Lucas is, luckily, but let's hypothetically he's not. And I'm super disciplined. Okay. Let's assume I'm like, I want to buy Tesla. Okay. That's what I want. And Lucas is not disciplined. And he's like, look, I don't care if we buy Tesla or don't buy Tesla. I just want the S&P 500. Well, that's great. The S&P 500 is good. But this person who actually runs the S&P 500, well, it's not like one person runs it. There are these index funds. And what that person does for a living is they wait for little bits of companies to grow and grow and grow. And then it hits what's called a market cap. So the example I like to give is Lucas, and I don't know the answer here, but it's going to make sense. So some of you, private key, I'm going to connect the dots. So Lucas, are you in a relationship right now? And all good if not, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, you are. Have you ever bought roses for your partner?
Yes.
Okay, is it going to cost you more if you do that the day before Valentine's Day or in the summer?
A million times more.
A million times more if you buy it the day before. Well, the example I'm giving you right now is if you were to buy roses the day before Valentine's Day, that's like buying Tesla right before it joins the S&P 500. It's like the worst possible price because then the S&P 500 manager goes and buys it. So the example I like to give my little dopey story, GV is saying, Ari, Bitcoin, that whole everything on crypto, it's not a password, it's a private key. GV, that's the equivalent, and I've had this happen. Imagine Lucas said, Ari, my roses aren't going to stay well if I buy them in the summer. So that example is not really realistic because the roses, I want to give them to my partner in February. And if I buy them in July, it's like, give me a break. Okay. It's just an example, GV. So private key, not password. You get my point. Okay. I want all of you to make sure that whenever you're talking to an advisor or an insurance agent that you get to do and have me in the back of your head going, hey, I don't know what you just said. So give it to me in a way that I can understand it. And that's how I'll communicate with everyone. So Dave gives a better example. Dave's like, hey, Ford, not Tesla. We don't like Tesla. So Dave, because of you and that comment, I'm going to replace every Tesla example with Ford. Dave, you're awesome. Okay. So that is what I want to go on umbrella and a few things on that end. Now, let me see what else I had. So I had healthcare guest. That's what I wanted to go over. Oh, this is an important one. So I'm going to share my screen. I get lots of emails. And so know if you email me, I'm going to block it out and you don't have to worry if I'm going to show your name. So you don't have to say, hey, are you going to provide, and then anonymity or anonymity. I'm not even saying it right, but Lucas, do you know what word I'm talking about?
Yeah, anonymity.
Anonymity, or whatever it is. Some of you guys are going to be like, I can never pronounce that. So this person says this was Wednesday, September 11th. So what is that? 2 weeks ago? Ari and the Financial Weapon. Ooh, Lucas, they remembered your nickname. Appreciate all the wisdom and content you guys share. I'm not able to catch the live streams on time due to family schedules, but wanted to ask your uncensored opinion on Vanguard, Fidelity, XXXXX, mean and median 401k balances by age. When I run my own modest retirement analysis in the software and compare results against those values don't compute and shock me, even for normal success. Do Mr. and Miss Average have extraordinary superhero accounts? So I can answer this for you. Now, I will be very clear. There's not a one plan does all, or else this would all be really easy. But I imagine what this person is worried about, and I'm just going to give you an example, is he's going to look at a plan like this and hear what I discussed today, just like all of you. And he's going to go, wait a second. I don't have a net worth of $2.6 million. And here's someone with $1.6 million in investments, and they've got an investment property, and I kind of feel bad because I don't have all that stuff. So like, what are the averages around this? Like, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? And there's the quote that comparison is the thief of joy. I believe in that because let's assume this person. So if you're the one that answered the question and you can watch this on the recording, let's assume this couple wants to spend, let's just say $15,000 a month. That's what they want to spend for their life. That was going to provide joy. Okay. Well, here they are at 60 and they would run out of money at about 73. Okay. So the point here is I don't really like means. I don't even like medians. Now I do have a YouTube video where I discuss that. So Lucas, if you're able to find it, just look in like average net worth Ari video or something and it'll come up, because I do give you an example, but I just give you the example for encouragement's sake. I don't like rules of thumb, because this person is wondering, well, all the other people have like 500, a million, 2 million in a superhero account. So like, what did I do wrong? And the truth is, you might not have done anything wrong. Maybe you want to spend 5,000 a month, and that's plenty for you to enjoy your retirement. Well, if you want to spend 5,000 a month, you might die with $15 million. Maybe you want to retire and, super early, and that would change your plan. So back to the comment here, no, that you're not missing something. Like, what are the averages? Averages are really low. Like, I forget the numbers from when I did the video, but there's people with, 200,000-300,000 in a 401k. Lots of people. There's other people. I looked it up because I did a video that's going to be released in 2 weeks, because we have a few clients north of $15-20 million. And I'm doing a video for them because they don't get a lot of love in our world as well. And there's literally like 100,000 people that have north of $20 million in the US, and they're not getting help. So I want to help everyone. Oops, this is the wrong screenshot. I want to show the other one. So going back to your question here, let's pull this up. This here. Okay. Once again, do Mr. and Miss Average have extraordinary superhero power accounts? What are the averages? To be honest, there's not a perfect number. And the reason I'm skeptical to even give more insight here is because, and this is what GV says right here. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much the Joneses have. It matters how much you will need. Great advice, especially if the Joneses lose their private key. Yeah, that's a good one. So the truth is, I have a client with $1 million. They're in an awesome spot. Why? Well, they have 2 pensions and Social Security, and they want to spend $5,000 a month. I have another client with $10 million right now, and they know who they are. And I told them they couldn't retire in 10 years. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, my neighbor has 3 million and they retired. So you're scaring me. I'm like, you want to spend $40,000 a month, and that's not sustainable if you want to retire. So I want to make sure that no matter where you're at, you're like, wait a second, let's simplify it. So if you're wondering, where am I at in my retirement plan, go in the software, start playing with the projections and going, great, what am I on track for? And then making a tweak. And it allows you to ask yourself the following question, which is what I ask my clients. Would you rather work longer so you can spend more, or stop working earlier, even if it means you can spend less? And the reason for that is there's a point where you are able to go, I'm good. Like, how much is enough? Look, I'm on track to spend $8,000 a month. Beyond that, could I spend it? Sure. But I don't really want to. I don't really know what the heck else I would do. And sure, I could figure out a way. But if you're telling me I could retire 2 years earlier and spend $8,000 a month, that's attractive to me. So I'm good. Others of you are like, no. I want to spend $15,000 a month, or else I'm not going to live the retirement I want. And if that means I have to work 5 more years, I'll work 5 more years. But it's not black and white, and you're going to be somewhere in the middle there. So hopefully, let me know, guys, does that make sense? Work longer to spend more, work less, but spending less. Does that whole philosophy make sense? Just let me know. Yes, no, yes, no. Once again, Weapon and I, the financial weapon, we rely on your feedback. This is what makes it fun. There's over 200 of you guys now in this live commenting, and we want to hear from you. This keeps our job fun. So thank you. Now, I don't want to overwhelm too much. There are other things selfishly I want to start going over, but I want to make sure I'm being strategic here and not kind of overloading it. Peter's like, yep, totally makes sense. So the biggest thing when it comes to retirement planning is truly, I need to protect against any mistakes. And Andy here's a perfect example. Andy's like, I want both. I want to work less and I want to spend more. I'm like, Andy, that's awesome. Okay. We just need to make sure your plan can allow for that. Tim here, and Tim, you were on the show a few weeks ago. Tim's got analysis paralysis, and he's like, look, I want to work longer if it means I can spend more, but I don't really know how much I want to spend. And the big mistake that most of you make that I don't want you to make is you'll go into the software just like this, and you're going to put, I want to spend $5,000 a month. Okay. Don't do this. Okay. Don't do this. Let me be clear what I'd rather have you do. If you go to your profile and you're in the goals section, you can see, do they retire at 61 and 58? Is this the healthcare costs? But what if they want to spend $7,000 a month? I want this to be just what's the base to allow you to do everything you want to do, but it's not counting extra vacations. It's not counting weddings. It's not counting. So let's assume 6,000 a month is the base for this, just as an example. Okay. I want you to go in there and add a separate goal for vacation. Why? Because you're probably not going to be doing vacations every single year at the same degree. So if you go in and put a goal for vacation and say you're going to do 15,000 a year, is that every year? Is that every 2 years? Let's assume it could be every 3 years. Let's just assume every year, the first 15, you're going to spend $15,000, but it's only the first 10 years. Okay. Because that's when you want to do some of this travel, but that's just like base travel. That doesn't really get extra fun. So what do? I want you to go in and add another goal. You can call it a vacation. You can call it whatever you want. And I want you to put some big dreams in here, not because I'm saying you get to do them, but because I want you to understand about it. So let's assume you go big vacations. Okay. And let's assume you're like, Ari, I want to take one really big vacation, not every year. I just want to do one really big one with the whole family. I want to do it next year, and it's going to be a $50,000 trip. Okay. I like when clients go to this level of detail, and let's assume there's going to be a wedding. Now I'm going to pick on one of you and you guys get to choose. So regarding the wedding, Woods here says, I realized I'm able to retire now. After some contemplation, I decided to continue working. I could decide to continue working knowing that I no longer must work. It's very empowering. Love that. Tony, there's a good question chat about an hour ago. You went live asking why the median number spit out, but the monitor was so much lower than the straight line number. Okay, good question. We'll talk about that. Lucas put up a comment above about going to playing around with the tools. Play around. So Lucas, if you could put the code back in for whatever the live 15 or live 20 or whatever it is. Tony Woods, welcome to the Recreational Employed Club. You're right, Tony. I love that. Okay. So I want you to go in and I'm going to just pick on any of you. Okay. Oh, Nick, how would you create a goal of paying off a mortgage before retirement, knowing it can impact savings? We'll model that out at the end real quick. So, I'm just in light of time. I was going to pick on one of you, but I'm just going to put 75,000 for a wedding. Okay. You better like this kid. So 75,000 for a wedding. And I'm just going to keep it there for example's sake. You guys can add more, but I want you to watch what happens to their plan. Okay. So we go into the plan. Plan still looks super good. Why? Well, they're spending, let's just put 6,000 a month for just general stuff. They're doing extra vacations. They're doing weddings. They're doing all this fancy stuff. Okay. Now this chart looks really good, but I don't care about that chart. I only care about this chart. Now this is the withdrawal rate. So I want you guys to look at this chart, and this is fascinating stuff. Okay. It's not going to look like it, but I promise it is. So let's look at this right here. Why is their withdrawal rate 18% at age 60? Okay. Who here thinks 18% is sustainable? Okay. Not me. So what's happening here? Maybe in 1 year, they're doing a wedding, they're buying a new car, they're doing a big vacation, they're doing so many different things. Their withdrawal rate is not sustainable. So 18%, that's a lot out of a portfolio. But let's assume their withdrawal rate, look at the second year, 12%, because we're still doing more weddings and maybe the spouse needs a car, but then it drops significantly. And then it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. Now the withdrawal rate is in the 3% range. Well, that's too low. Now, all of a sudden it's like, look, 3%, when I'm in my 70s, I think I'm going to be like traveling less and I'm going to have RMDs and all this fancy stuff. So the point here is I don't want one big year to occur. I generally, if we're going to buy a home or do a remodel, I'm cool with that, but I'm not as cool with it when you do it in the same year where markets go down and you want to travel and you just do too much too quickly. This withdrawal rate is not sustainable. But what if they said, no, we want to spread it out. We're going to do vacations and buy new cars and weddings, but it's just over time. Well, the withdrawal rate graph, this is what's going to give you guys a lot of insight as to the position you're actually in for retirement. Nick, how would you create a goal of paying off a mortgage? So what you would get to do, Nick, let's go into their plan for a second. So you can see here, they have a primary home mortgage. You can go in here and you see how at the bottom here, it says early payoff. You can say, I'm paying that sucker off next year, baby. I don't want a mortgage. You can go, no, I'm not going to do an early payoff. I'm going to pay the minimum and then see what the impact has on my plan. So you get to play around with that and go back to your plan and see what the impact is. You might see it's significant. You might see it's not. That is just how that works. Tony, good question you said about why the median number spit out by the Monte Carlo is so much lower than the straight line number in the cash flow in right capital. So guys, this is good. Monte Carlo I like, okay? But Monte Carlo, too often people rely on this to retire. I personally wouldn't give someone a green light if this says 100% probability. So I'm not saying ignore this. It's another good metric, but I would rather you focus on cash flows, because if we go to cash flows for a second and then we click on summary, and I know it's a lot to follow along here, but just stick with me. Let's assume someone's going to sell a rental property. Well, what if you sell a rental property in 2028, just for example's sake, and there's a little bit of income, maybe we turn on Social Security and we sell a rental property and there's a big capital gain. Well, what if we also need to do Roth conversions? Well, now all of a sudden your plan, there's going to be a certain year where your taxes are going to look crazy. And I want to make sure we're being smart and we're not having crazy tax bills north of $170,000. So if you scroll down in cash flows, what I want you to think about, because this is the master checklist to your retirement, it's just not as pretty, so people don't like it. But let's assume this couple is 75 and 72, and stick with me here. This part, I need you guys paying attention. So I'm not mad at you, just pay attention here. 2039, okay, 75 and 72 years old, income is coming in the door, okay? Social Security is coming in the door. Now, they also have required distribution. Why? Well, they have 72,000 they have to start taking from their plan because their age dictates that's when it begins, but only for one of them. Watch what happens 3 years later. Now we have 2 required distributions, and now 70,000 Social Security, $230,000. Yes, David says Irma's going to kick you in the can as well. It's going to kick you in jazz. You can see 70,000 plus 236, 306,000 is coming in the door, okay? Now they told me, Ari, we're going to want 138,000 and we want to pay taxes. So do you guys see this number at the end here? What this is saying, let me scroll out here. What you can see at the end, you see this net flows at the very end. This is all what's called extra, okay? All of this extra gets taxed at the highest marginal bracket. So this is not good. This is them having to pay way more in taxes for the rest of their life, and it's unnecessary. So what can they do? Well, they have 2 options. They can say, we're going to do Roth conversions, and they're going to try to see if that's going to add more value to their plan by executing conversions, maybe adding millions. But you know what's a better solution where I like to go rather than do that is I like to go, hey guys, what if we spent more? They're like, what? Aren't we talking about taxes? I go, we will, but I want you to spend more. You told me you wanted to spend vacations at $15,000 a year. Let's up that baby. What about $30,000 a year? And you know what people say? Oh, but doesn't that make my tax stuff not as effective? And I go, absolutely. And they're like, well, then maybe we shouldn't do that. And I say, no, the point in life is not to minimize your tax bill. Before I showed Roth conversions, Lucas, do you remember what value it was showing it would add?
No, to be completely honest.
That's okay. I love the transparency. Okay. We're doing a lot here. So 1.4 million. So 1.4 million it was going to add, and now it adds 600,000 more. So what did I do? I told my clients, I said, I want you to spend more money. I didn't say do more conversions. I didn't say, hey, I want you. I'm saying, look, there's a point here where I want you to live your best life. And too many people get so focused on the tax and the withdrawal. If you want to see what I'm talking about, if you go to my latest video here, this is an example. I told my client, I want you to lose $10 million. And they're like, what are you, crazy? I go, no, I really seriously want you to lose $10 million because if you don't, you're not going to be happy with me. And I just did a similar example to what I did today. And I want to make sure that you guys are all going, oh, so yeah, there comes a point here where it's a no-brainer and I don't want to get crushed in taxes. So I'm going to do a conversion or I'm going to, eat the cauliflower. But there's another point where you might go, wait, maybe before I do that, I start seeing if I should actually retire earlier. What if I could spend more? So I want to make sure that this is helpful. Guys, let me know in the comments. Helpful or not helpful regarding tax and early retirement and conversions? Did you learn anything new? Or you're like, Ari, I don't even know what you just said. Any thoughts? There's 200 of you guys, so I want to hear from you, please. This is what makes our job fun. So lots of good comments coming in. Yeah, I love this one. Maybe to account for the really fun and enjoyable big expenses, new roof, windows, replacement car, not just the boring stuff like weddings. Yeah, I love this. This is, Andy, you got to run. Have a good day. Guys, this is exactly the type of stuff where I can do this so much and I want to give you guidance and show you how to use it. But here's GV right here going, look, I really want to make sure I'm not forgetting some of this stuff. So guys, helpful, not helpful. Mark, very helpful. Chris, helpful. GV, helpful, especially regarding umbrella. We had a comment up here. How does having umbrella insurance get a lawsuit tossed? So let's assume I didn't have umbrella insurance. It's kind of like, let's assume you got in a car crash with someone and you're like, look, and they're like, I don't have any insurance. Well, you could sue them, and it doesn't mean they're going to pay you, but it means you're going to get paid. Now, maybe it means it takes a long time, but umbrella insurance is additional insurance that's basically saying, look, if God forbid we were to get sued and something happens and Lucas was going to sue me, he's like, look, I could come after Ari, and if I win, it's going to be awesome because he's got umbrella insurance. So that insurance company is going to pay me out. But it also could go against Lucas, where Lucas is like, look, I don't think I've really got a good case here. I think if that car crash, I'm not going to tell anyone it kind of was my fault because the crocodile came in the passenger seat with me, and Lucas is like, yeah, that's what happened. So there's things that are quantifiable and things that are not. My favorite example on umbrella insurance is, if you guys have seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's an episode where Larry David, the writer of Seinfeld and the star of the show, is at home and someone breaks in to rob him, and they trip and fall into the pool because they don't have a fence that's put up correctly. And it's funny because he was there to rob him. Now, I joke the whole episode wouldn't have occurred if there was umbrella insurance. So lots of stuff here. Tim, always helpful, totally helpful. I feel like a lot of people will do Roth conversion and then never end up using that Roth. I love this comment. I see it all the time because when it comes to withdrawal strategy, you know what everyone says? Talk about Roth conversions. Got to make sure people know about it. And then, hey, I'm going to touch my Roth last, right? I go, right. And then they never end up even using it. So it's like, hey guys, great. You did all these conversions and financially you beat the game, but you didn't even love your life. Like you went back to work. So to me, there's financial answers and there's real life answers. The general message, let's see if Chris, I like it. Roth conversions will not benefit you in your lifetime on your heirs. Chris, that not correct. Okay. So lots of things I'll correct you on, but it will benefit you in your lifetime. Okay. If you don't do this, you're going to have required distributions in your lifetime. So it benefits you. If something happens to you, it benefits your spouse. So I'm not picking on you, Chris. It definitely is a good thing to do if you have heirs, because if I have a child and they're in the 50% tax bracket because they're crushing it and they inherit money and it's all pre-tax, they're paying taxes at 50%. So I want to make sure, Chris, that you recognize Roth conversions are helpful for you. You just don't want to do too much of it and kind of shoot yourself in the foot. Cheetah here. I'm an engineer, and at times I find financials confusing. I mean, look, if you told me to engineer anything, I couldn't do it, okay? I'm good at what I do, terrible at other stuff. I don't want to be a generalist, and I love what I do. So you guys are like, yep, helpful. Lots of good stuff here. Love looking under the hood of Right Capital. The cash flow tab is super. So Tony works with us. Tony works with Katie. Katie is awesome. Tony is Katie, not the best. I mean, and Tony, you obviously know Lucas well. Yeah, Chris, I debunked that. Happy to do so. So it's tough because so many people get so sucked into the finances, and it sounds bad, but like, let's assume you didn't get sucked into the finances, okay? You guys, all of you here right now and live with me, you wouldn't be in a good position. You know why? Because you wouldn't care about money. So when someone comes to me and they're like, I'm a great spender, you know what normally is the case? They don't have a lot of money, okay? When someone's a great saver, they have lots of money, and now it's not easy to spend money. So want to make sure we're being intentional here. And you can see Tony's like, Katie and Lucas rock. They're the best. So guys, if you want to work with Katie and you want to go, hey, who are we even talking about here? I'll drop in just because I want you guys to be able to connect the dots. You're like, who on earth are we talking about here? go watch this. You want to meet Katie? You guys already know Lucas here, but you want to meet Katie? Go check her out. Okay. So let's see a few other questions because we got some time here. Yes, Woods says Roth is great for IRMA reduction. I did this a few weeks ago. I'm happy to do it again now, but let me get a little bit of a gauge. So are you guys familiar with what IRMA is and how that works? Y for yes, N for no. And let me see what you guys say. I'll let you know. I'll do it again. I did a few weeks ago, but some of you guys are new, so I'll do it again if you'd like me to. IRMA, yes or no? Y or N? Do you want me doing IRMA, yes or no? In the meantime, let me look at some other stuff. Hoy, so do you focus on after-tax remaining wealth when trying the conversion? Hoy, that's like me going, okay, I'm just going to look at one of your legs, but I'm going to do like a whole body. I need to understand everything wrong with you, but I'm just going to look at your leg. So no, I don't just look at after-tax remaining wealth. What I look at is that's a big consideration. So Hoy, let's assume you told me you wanted to pass with $10 million. Well, I would say, hey, are your children doing well? Let me understand your goals. You might be like, look, my kid, they're awesome, but they're just painting all day. Okay. They're in my garage. I can't get them out. Well, they might not be in a super high tax bracket. So that changes the conversion. Let's assume, Hoy, you're like, Ari, I hate my job. I want to stop working. Well, I might go, yeah, your conversions are going to be more, meaning I'm going to want you to do more conversions because you retire earlier. I have more time to do it, but we're going to stop it way earlier because in 5 years, I think I'll have done the conversions I want to do for you. So there's so many different factors to look at. Okay. No, yes, 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 no, yes, no, 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 yes, no, yes, no. Tim, yes, unfortunately, yes, no, 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 ish. I'm going to do it for you. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to do the following for me. If you put a no, if I can change the understanding to a yes, tell me. If I cannot, I want to know that as well, okay? Let me do an example for you. So there's a new tax bracket system that's going to hit you. Now, Lucas, this is a tough question. So if you don't know this one, no blame. But when someone does a Roth conversion and then all of a sudden they look at their statement and they're looking at their Medicare premiums and they're like, what the heck happened? Do you know what happens with that?
If you do Roth conversions, it looks to the government like you just made a bunch of money because you're taking money out of a pre-tax account. So then they're like, well, you don't need all of our help. And so you're going to have to pay more than someone who let's say you realize you had $100,000 of income on paper. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay a lot more for your premiums. I think it's Part B premiums than somebody who only makes $30,000 a year on paper, even though you converted the money and paid a tax bill from it and you didn't actually live on it. And so it just looks on paper like you made a lot of money.
Love it. Now, Lucas, let's assume I said, hey, Lucas, I'm 63 and these conversions just look so cool. I just want to do them. Do you know the amount of years that if I did a Roth conversion, do you know when my Medicare premiums might increase? Do you know how many years that might be?
It looks back 2 years.
You got it. You just hit every question there. So kudos to you. So what this means, guys, let's assume I'm going to give you a real easy example here. And if this does not make sense, I want you guys to tell me, okay? Because this is an important concept. If you're not familiar with this, this is important. So thinking heads going on right now. Okay. So here's a couple. I'm going to zoom in, make this bigger for you. Give me 1 second. Oops. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. This should be big. Okay. Now let me explain what on earth we're looking at here. So here's a couple. There's a real couple. Okay. I use this example. It's real people, just crossed out their names. This is their income today. Okay. So $224,000 is coming in the door. It's from a combination of things. Part-time income, Social Security from one of them, there's rental income, and they have an inherited IRA from their dad, which means they don't have a lot of schedule. They don't have a lot of flexibility, okay? We determined after a long conversation, they should take a little bit out over a long period of time. So this is their income. Now I said, guys, how much income do you want? And they said $10,000 a month. I said, awesome. That's $120,000 a year. And they're like, yeah, so you're screwing up. Like, I don't need 220,000. I'd be good on 10,000 a month, which is 120,000. I said, I know. And they're like, you're doing a crappy job. And I'm like, you're right. But it's not really up to me because this is coming in whether we want it or not. And they're like, okay. And I said, but you should be worried. And they're like, why? And I said, well, not only have your own distributions not begun yet, not only do we only have partial Social Security turned on, but in the future, you're going to have way more income. And they're like, okay, why does that apply to me? And I said, well, you're going to be 65 when you're in 2026. And they're like, yeah, what's your point? And I said, you're going to have a new system that you have to apply your income to. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yep, not the capital gains, not the ordinary income today, a new system. And they're like, hey, are you just like making this up for fun? And I'm like, I wish I was. But what happens here, and it's a dopey joke, is when your income rises, you pay more and you get more, but you actually don't get more. You only pay more. So it's a bad joke, and I'm working on a better one. But if your income is between $206,000 and $258,000, you pay $70 extra, both you and your spouse, if they're 65, for Part B, and $13 for Part D. So what does that mean in plain English? What that means is you're spending an extra $996 every single year. It's completely unnecessary and it's completely avoidable if you are being intentional with your tax strategy. So let's assume you and your wife are 65 and you've done a good job saving and investing, and you're like, I'm not going to worry about this. Well, it might not start out as a big deal, but in the future, just like this couple here, this is their income today, but they're probably going to be at 4, 5, 600,000 in their future when they're 70s or 80s. They're spending less, they invest well. Well, now all of a sudden, let's assume their income is $386,000 in retirement, whether they want to or not. Well, they both are spending $384 plus $74 every single month. That's $458 a month times 12. They're both spending about $5,500 a year. Guys, that's $11,000 a year, and it's completely avoidable. So let's assume this couple said, Ari, we don't want to do any smart tax planning. Don't even know what you're saying right now. Kind of freaking me out, but just ignorance is bliss. Not going to worry about this. Let's assume from age 75 to 90, they have to spend $11,000 a year. That's $165,000 that they spent in Medicare premiums, and they got no additional services for it. It's $165,000 completely unnecessary. This is the schedule. Now, this is level 1. Level 2 is here's a couple that I had a conversation with, and I said, I want you to do Roth conversions. And they said, why? Isn't my income already too high? And I said, I want you to do some, not all, because your taxable income is only $193,000 today. We're not even filling up what I call the no-brainer bracket. So there are 3 brackets. There's your no-brainer bracket. That, when someone works with us, is as long as you're in planet Earth, we got to fill this up. They're at 193. They should be filling up 201 at a minimum. Then the 24% bracket is us going, well, our market's doing well. Are you spending less in retirement? It's a dynamic thing. And then we don't want to pay taxes at 32%, just federally, trust me. So this is the way I'm approaching a conversation. And the risk I see is someone wants to do a Roth conversion because it looks cool like this. They convert $7,000, $8,000, whatever it is, pushes their income above $206,000. And yeah, they did a conversion, but now they're spending this amount every single month. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. So IRMA is just another schedule that applies to you. So that was a lot. Guys, the people that said no before, no, I don't know IRMA, no, I didn't understand it. Do you understand it now? Give me a Y if you now, yes, if you understand it. If you don't, that's okay. And I just put a video out over this, and there's lots. Let me stop sharing. Please let me know, guys. Yes. So Y if it makes sense. No if you're like, I don't know anything you just said. Lucas is a golden knight. Yes, Lucas is a golden knight. Tim, I'm going to do Roth conversion, which will cause my wife to get hit with IRMA. Tim, sometimes I like when clients do this. And they're like, what do you mean? You just told me why IRMA is like the worst thing ever. I go, yeah, but you don't want to just decline it for the sake of it. That's like declining a bonus because you're going to have to pay taxes. It's like, hey, you're going to have to pay more. But Tim, you're probably smart to do the conversions because it's probably going to save you way more than the difference in IRMA. So IRMA is just something you want to be aware of. It doesn't mean that you need to actually begin doing something. Dave is coming at you, Lucas. Dave is like, Lucas needs some wall hardware. Dave, Root is slacking. Any comments, Lucas?
I'm not sure if he's referencing degrees or what, but I got one right there.
I know. I was going to say, I was like, there's the degree. Maybe he's just looking for, Dave, let us know. Are you looking for more? I could get a ficus for Lucas if you think that would look good. With lots of different options here. Okay, let me look at this. Other comments here. Okay, why, good explanation. Quasi, much better now. Why, but not sure how it plays to the no-brainer bracket. Okay, why? Claire, UFC Golden Knights mascot. Oh, what do you think of that, Lucas?
She's referencing my school here in Orlando. So
okay, University of Central Florida. Yeah, Eong right here. If you're making $250,000 a year, isn't $83 a month not a big deal? Yes, it's not a big deal, and you should probably do Roth conversions. But Eong, that's for you. There are other people that are currently watching right now, and they've got $75,000 with $500K, and for them, it is a big deal. And it doesn't seem like a big deal today, but $83 a month, every single month for the rest of their retirement, if it's easily avoidable by shifting their income to less of a dividend strategy or doing dividends, but in an IRA and not in a brokerage account. So most of you guys are like, yep, now I'm totally good. This makes sense. For those of you that are like, good explanation, awesome. For those of you that are like, look, that was good, but it's still Christina's like, yeah, I kind of get it, but I just don't totally get it. Lucas, can you drop in? I did a video, I think last week on IRMA. I went through it, Christina, a lot slower. I do it where you can pause and play. I give even more examples. And sometimes it's just a certain example that you need that's going to click. Claire's like quasi. I have much better insight now. Let me give you guys the 30-second version. IRMA is a new schedule that you are going to have to pay for, whether you want to or not, when you are 65, when you're in Medicare, and you can avoid the extra cost if you can keep your income underneath $206,000. So that's the whole premise. Now, sometimes, to one of your points here, Jeff, not sure how it applies to the no-brainer bracket scenario. Jeff, let's assume you're my client and you have $2 million in a 401k. You're like, Ari, I'm freaking out. That whole Medicare IRMA surcharge thing, I don't want to pay $170,000. I go, Jeff, you should be licking your lips to pay it because you're going to make $1 million north of that if you do good Roth conversions. So, Jeff, the no-brainer, let's assume, Jeff, you're 50 years old. You're like, Ari, what should I do? Do I fill up this bracket? Do I do a different bracket? Well, Jeff, if you're 50 and we have 25 years until required distributions start, I don't want you to fill up 22% and pay taxes at 22, 22, 22, 24, 22. I'd say, Jeff, let's pay taxes for a long time, but just a little bit. Let's pay taxes. Let's fill up the 15% bracket, which is what it's going to become. Today, it's the 12%. Let's fill up the 12% for a while. Maybe markets go down and want to convert a little bit more. But Jeff, your no-brainer bracket, hypothetically, if you are 50 years old, should probably be 12%. Maybe it's 22%. That's your no-brainer bracket. But let's assume, Jeff, you're 63 and you come to me, okay? And you're like, Ari, in 2 years, I'm turning on Social Security. I'm going to have rental income. I'm going to have inheritance. And I'm freaking out. What the heck do I do? We're probably going to do more Roth conversions, which means your no-brainer bracket is going to be higher because I don't have as much time to execute these conversions effectively. Are you clear on that now, Jeff? I want to know. Jeff, clear on that? Yes or no? Lots of comments coming in, so if I miss it, let me know. But please let me know. Dave, comparing to Ari's, maybe add some participation certificates. Dave, that might be, so he's talking about participation trophies, Lucas. Dave, that might be, I had a client, and this is without a big tangent. I had a client that is like, Ari, you know, these kids now, their participation trophies and this, he's like really upset. And I was like, I get it. Like, I'm with you. And he's like, have you ever received a participation trophy? And I'm like, I think if I say yes to this guy, even if the answer is no, I think he's going to freak out. I think I want to see his reaction. So I was like, it wasn't up to me, but I participated. I wasn't the best. And he's like, dang, they got you too. And it was just the funniest thing. I'm like, I wish I had this recorded. So Dave, Jeff is like, I'm good on this now. Tony, IRMA is recalculated every year based on the 2-year look back on your income. Thank you, Tony. So Tony, I appreciate you. Like, Tony is a client, works with Lucas and Katie. Guys, it's one thing to hear it from me. And even sometimes I recognize I go a little bit, I can't help myself on the, here's the lab the pill was made in. I try to stay out of that, but sometimes you just need to hear it from a client. And Tony, tell people what it's like right now doing Roth conversions. I know when Katie and Lucas were talking, you were like, look, I kind of know I need to do it, but I just don't like the idea of it. Like, I don't want to pay taxes. Tony, it would be weird if you did. If you said, Ari, I cannot wait. Let's just do some. Please. I don't want to take vacations. I want to do conversions. Tony, you're very weird. That's what I would have said. Okay. So that's obviously not what I'm saying. Now, there's lots of strategies. Dave here. Donate to charities. Yes. Okay. Lucas, do you know, let's assume I don't want to do a donor advised fund because I'm like, I don't want to do charitable giving and this whole deduction thing is over my head. Okay. But I've got this IRA and I want to do what David is saying here. I want to donate to charities. Do you know what it's called when I do that? It starts with a Q.
A qualified charitable distribution.
Yes, buddy. We're on it. Guys, who thinks Lucas needs a raise? Okay. Who thinks Lucas needs a raise? Okay. Qualified charitable distributions. Guys, this is where you can move money from your IRA to a charity. You don't have to pay taxes and then give it to the charity. So let's assume I've got $100,000 in my IRA and I want to give $20,000 every single year to a charity. That would be very nice of me. But if I were to go sell, meaning I've got it all in my IRA, I click sell at Vanguard, Schwab or whatever, and now I have money, okay? I have to pay taxes on that. So let's assume I have 100, now I only have 80. Just keep it easy, 20%, okay? Well, I can now give the charity 4 years worth of $20,000 a year. But what if I gave them money straight from my IRA instead? Well, they would have gotten 5 years worth. So they get more money and it decreases my required distributions, which is pretty cool. Rich is like, Lucas deserves a raise. Give the man a raise. So guys, Lucas, when we have our comp discussion and all of that, look at this. You've got a lot of people going for you. Okay, Carlos, this is a good question. So this is going to be a little too much info, but I'm going to do it anyway. Some of you guys are going to be like, this is the lab you're talking about. Some of you guys are going to be like, no, I kind of get why you're going to go over this. So I can't help myself, so I have to. Now, I'm like an addict with some of this stuff. So it's like, I know there's a point, like we're already at time technically, but I just like this stuff. So I'm going to show you a sample. I want you guys to read. Lucas, can you read the question actually while I pull this up?
Is the Roth conversion tool forecast taking into account the taxes due plus the actual amount converted?
Beautiful. Okay. What Carlos is saying in his English is, let's assume I do a Roth conversion today. Okay. Hey, Lucas, you're going to get crushed in taxes. I want to do a Roth conversion. You're like, why are you the meanest advisor ever? I go, I do it just for fun. You're like, cool. How much am I going to have to pay in taxes? And I'm like, well, it's going to be like 20,000 this year. And you're like, well, no, I get that I'm doing the Roth conversion, but like, don't I have to do like super well because I'm gonna have to pay taxes also today. So it's not like I just move money from my IRA to my Roth. Like if I didn't pay the government these 20,000 in taxes, what if that money just kept growing? Like that's a very fair question. So what I'll do with people when I'm talking about Roth conversions, now this is software you don't have access to. So guys, don't get mad at me. This you don't want access to, okay? It's too much and you're gonna screw it up if you use it. Some of you are like, no, I wouldn't. You're going to screw it up. I'm like, I'm not. So this here is a software that's powerful. Okay. You don't need to become an expert. This is where I'm doing a lot of tax work. I go line by line through the tax code. So let's take an example. Let's assume someone has no income other than, let's just keep it simple, 80,000 of Social Security. Okay. Just keep it easy. But Ari, what if something happens to my spouse? Then it's not 80,000 anymore. There's only one benefit. I know, just humor me, okay? 80,000 gross Social Security. And let's assume this person starts RMDs next year. So not only do they have Social Security, OMG, that's not going away, but they also have to take RMDs. So they've got a ton of income coming in the door. Now let's go a step further. And what if I told this couple, I want you to do a Roth conversion for $100,000. Okay. Just an example. Okay. Let's see what this says right here. This is big enough. You guys should be able to see this. What is the incremental cost of Roth conversions? 23,000. What the heck does that mean? That means I'm begging my client, would you please do me a huge favor and spend 23,000 this year? Just like Tony was like, look, it was not fun to do, but I probably should do it. Well, why would anyone ever do this? Like, does this even make sense? Well, let's build one more scenario. And this I'm generally doing when you're doing calls with us. Okay. So I'm not going to bore you to death here, guys, but let's do one more scenario. And let's just make a hypothetical and assume this guy has RMDs of 250,000 because income is significant. And let's assume there's a pension at 50,000. And I'm just picking random numbers here. Okay. I'll do a real case for this later if you want. Now let's assume, do you guys remember the Roth conversion amount I recommended? Okay. I recommended he pay 23,000. Okay. Now let's assume this guy's like, I'm not doing anything. Ari says. Ari doesn't know what he's talking about. You see this number here? 28,144. What this is this is me begging my client, hey, would you please spend 23,000 this year so that in the future you don't have to spend 28,000? And you're going to be like, okay, so like I pay now a little bit. 23,000 doesn't feel like a little bit, but I pay 23,000 now because if I don't, the same amount that I'd want to take out later would be 28. Okay. So I kind of save 5,000 in taxes. I go, that's a true fact, but that's not why you do this. And you're like, oh, why not? It kind of seems like a good idea. And I say, it's a factor, but let's think about the difference in timing there. Let's assume you do Roth conversions at 62 and you're like, I'm going to have RMDs at 75. All of the growth from 62 to 75 is tax-free. Okay. So let's assume you pay 23,000. You're like, oh, Ari sucks. Now all of a sudden you move your money to Roth and markets do well. And now your 500,000 is 700. Now $1 million, now 1.5. And now you have all this money in Roth and it's all tax-free. So not only did you do what's called tax arbitrage and save that delta, but you also are optimizing for the future. Lucas, good on that?
Yeah, but what happens when markets go down and you can convert even more?
Oh, there we go. This is like, guys, Lucas, I need you to team me. Okay, guys. So what Lucas just said, I'm going to give you an example. Let's assume you bought Apple stock. Okay. Actually, let's do Ford stock. Dave, that's for you if you're here. Okay. Let's assume you bought Ford stock for $1. Okay. Just like, isn't that the price today, Dave? Right? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Let's assume you bought it for $1 and now it's worth $10. Ooh, big hitter. Okay. And that's all in your IRA. You're like, what am I, a genius? Okay. Do I get a participation trophy? Okay. $1 becomes $10. Now markets go down. Lucas is like, Ari, markets go down. What happens when markets go down? Well, when markets go down, you're like, well, this kind of stinks because I want income for the rest of my life. And most of you, I don't know for a fact, but I'm going to guess right now, most of you are thinking the following. Ready? I'm really scared to retire because I've been contributing money to my 401k. And so when markets go down, it doesn't bother me today. I'm still working. But what about when I retire? How on the heck am I going to be living with myself? How am I going to be able to withdraw income and take those big fancy trips that Lucas and Katie tell me to take when I know markets are going down and I don't have new money to contribute? And I'm going to be like, Lucas, you're going to contribute money. And you're like, how? What are you, crazy? I'm not working anymore. I go, you're going to do a Roth conversion. And so what you're doing, you bought Ford stock for $1 in your IRA. It's worth $10. Now the $10 of Ford goes down. OMG. It's only worth $5 and you convert it. So you do a Roth conversion when it's worth 5. Now it grows and it's worth 10 again. Well, from 5 to 10, that's all tax-free growth. So my famous story, I've told it to many of you, but if you don't know it already, I work with a couple. This was early on, I think 4 years ago now. And no, it was less than that. It was COVID. It was like literally like right before COVID. They're like, I think I want to retire. And I learned a valuable lesson because I said, yep, you can retire. And they were close. They were in a good spot to do it. Now I'm like the meanest advisor ever because I don't want anyone to retire too early. But it was close. Their withdrawal rate was about 5.1% and decreasing. So I was comfortable with it. but I didn't have a deep enough conversation about, hey, home remodel and travel. And I had some concerns they were going to overspend in the early years of retirement. And COVID happened 3 months after they retired. And I said, guys, I'm not into market timing. I don't believe in market timing, but I don't believe in just sitting and doing nothing. And markets are down right now 20%. It could go down more. It could rebound. I don't know, but I want to take advantage of this opportunity. And we moved a lot of money from their IRA to their Roth IRA. And their withdrawal rate, we got very fortunate because when markets went down significantly during COVID, it all rebounded in 5 weeks. Meaning if you just stuck in there and you let your money ride back and the money is now growing Roth, well, what happened is their withdrawal rate in 3 months just went from 5.1 to 3.9% and decreasing for the rest of their retirement. So what's the point of the story? Many of you guys are scared. What if I retire and I get unlucky? Well, if you get unlucky and markets go down and you don't have any tax strategy or withdrawal plan or anything, I'd say it would be normal to be worried. And I would tell you to be worried. I wouldn't use that word, but I'd say, look, you have anxiety for a reason and you can protect against that, but you have to be smart. So the whole premise here is retirement isn't like a fairyland where you just get to like take whatever income no matter what. I mean, you could, but you could run the risk of running out. Retirement is about going, okay, wait a second. Markets are doing well. I want to take that one trip. I think I'm in a spot to do it. I think this is the year I'm going to do it. And then other times I'm going to say, guys, trust me. Markets are down. I want you to spend a little bit less, do an additional conversion. Here's why. Let's take advantage of this. And there's a chart I like to show on this. So the chart I like to show, Lucas, some people are going to be like, hey, Ari, are you and Lucas like rehearsing this? And like, does he cue you up for these? You know, these feel like kind of easy answers, you know? So what I want to cue up here, this is what most people don't know. I have a lot of different graphs I like to show, but this is a really nice one. So it looks so friendly, right? Doesn't this look friendly, guys? Stocks always crash. You're so friendly. So what this looks like, guys, in plain English, is this tells you most people go, well, the stock market's so great. I put $500 a month in, and you know, if I just keep doing that, look at this. It's going to be worth $2.4 million if I just did that for 40 years. Well, you'd be correct, but do most people know that on average, the stock market falls by 14% every year? And you're like, what? Look at how many times the market on this line here, I know it's kind of small on my screen here, but I'm moving my cursor. In 2020, how many times was it down? Let's just see, north of 14%. Well, from 2020 to 2010, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's call it 10. 10 times it was down. I mean, that is significant. So during these times, markets down 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%. The value of doing conversions becomes a whole lot more important if you're looking at your holistic retirement. So lots of stuff here. Tim, I'm going to answer some questions, then I'll let you guys go. If your IRA is big enough, RMDs will kill you in taxes later on. Tim, you're 100% right. Carlos, thanks for answering my question. I don't know if I did, but maybe someone else did. So Carlos, I hope I can help. Rich, you and Tammy are going to get more Roth. Don't worry. You don't want to do it too quickly though, because some people do that and they're like, I want to do it. You know, some people are like, it's like, hey, Roth conversions are surgery. We want to do surgery, but like, maybe we don't need to like do surgery on your whole body. Like maybe we just start with a little portion and be like, okay, was that good? Should we do more? You can always get a bigger haircut, but you can't reverse it. Okay. RMDs. Okay. So, some of you are like, oh, Rich, thank you. So appreciate answering my questions. Sorry if you already answered this. How dare you? I'm just kidding. Guys, I get it. You're coming in live different spots here. Why do Roth conversions when you could just keep your IRA withdrawals at a lower bracket? OMG, what an easy answer. Oh, well, Rich, you're already doing it. RMDs. And he's like, thanks, Rich. But you're withdrawing from the IRA in both cases. So still don't get it. Ooh, cool fee. We got some issues here. Let's see if Tony did it. It's about the tax rate you're paying on those withdrawals. As RMDs kick in, your marginal tax rate is very high. You pay 0% on Roth distributions. Let's assume, Colfie, you hit the jackpot, baby. Oh, yeah, all Bitcoin in the IRA, okay? And it just goes to the moon, okay? Now you've got $10 million. Have fun withdrawing out of that bad boy. You don't want to pay 50% taxes. So what you want to do is be intentional with withdrawing money, okay? Lucas is the guy that splits tens at the blackjack table. Dave Farley, 1040 closed today. Am I covered by just having traditional 401k and Roth, or do I have to have other investments? Oh, Paul, I'm so sorry. Guys, Is there another account Paul should have? I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you guys do it. Let's see how many people can say it. Guys, what other account should Paul have? Because some of you, like Tony and Dave, like you guys are veterans. So you can go beat up Paul for me and say what other account he might want to consider. Tim, I never thought I'd hope for the market to go down. Opportunity. Oh, yeah. Rich, working with Katie and Lucas, looks like filling up 24% bracket works best for me. Rich, it is. And it's so odd because some people go, is it really? Like, it's kind of a lot. I go, oh, it's the best thing you'll ever do. And you won't like me today and you'll love us in 5 years. And you're going to sleep better knowing if something happens to you, your spouse doesn't have to pay taxes on that. It's good in multiple reasons. Here we go. What did you say, Tony? Katie and Lucas ran the scenario. I actually reverse engineered the match with my CPA. The numbers were bang on, so I can testify the software is accurate. Yeah, that'd be a big problem, Tony, if it wasn't accurate. Woods, this is great to see how the sausage is made. Love it. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail. Richie Lou, isn't retirement, isn't the 3-fund portfolio enough? Hey, I'm with you. Hey, why don't we just do 3 funds? Well, Richie, let's assume you have 3 funds in your retirement. And let's assume that it's not diversified well and they're all not doing well. How am I going to send you income? Well, I'm going to have to sell one of them, and one of them might not be doing so hot. Maybe a few of the others aren't doing so hot. So now it's putting me in a tough spot to send you income. So you could do it. You could get away if you diversify well, but you can do a lot better. Okay. So when I retire next year at age 60 and my wife, 69, goes on Medicare, she'll have to pay a premium based on my income from 2 years ago, not my income at retirement. Yeah, it's a 2-year look back. So Tim, you do a Roth conversion this year, you're like, I'm a wizard, okay? Now, 2 years later, you get hit Medicare premiums. Agree, Lucas knows his stuff. Yeah, give him a raise. Cool, guys, lots of stuff. Okay, superhero account, superhero, brokerage, same thing. Thanks, superhero. So whoever asked that question is like, oh, I'm regretting it. Tony, I'm a trust but verify kind of person. Yep, Tony. So I'm like a reasonable skeptic, just kind of a guy. So when I talked to healthcare, who came on today, Cole and all them, I was like, hey guys, you sound real good. All right, how do you get paid? And then he gave me a good answer, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. But I'm very transparent, and I'm sure Tony, you would know this as well. We're the first person to be like, hey, look, we want you to know what you're paying, and I want you over the moon to pay it. Or like, why would you pay anyone ever? Now, part of this is quantifiable and part of this is not. So to end it out, Lucas, if you can once again just put in if they want the software versus actually working with Root long term. I think the waiting list is a month to have a call with us now. I don't know the latest. Does the software handle syndicate and private money lending? No, Doug. Think about this. The software is good if you're like, look, I want to know, what am I missing? Am I on track? It's a good starting spot. You want to talk private money syndications, hedge funds, private placements? Like, no, it's not giving you guidance on all that. Like, that's where you want an advisor. So no, the software is good. You want to put in some basic numbers. Hey, am I on track am I going to run out of money? No, it's kind of cool. Play around with the software. Okay, that's cool. But it's like, I don't love this example, but someone was like, it's cool. I like the academy. It's like I go to the doctor and they give me a manual, but I now just have to find out what applies to me. It's like, hey, I'm hurt and I'm going to go to WebMD, but it's like, look, they don't really know if it's right. Like that's why experts exist. Like, I do this for a living for a reason, is I want to give you the correct answer. And when it comes to Roth conversions, what bracket and taxing and harvesting and how much can I withdraw? That's quantifiable stuff. But what's not quantifiable is, hey, you're traveling, you're having fun. You don't have to worry, like, should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? And who's watching this? And the dividend strategy, when does that get shifted? And asset allocation and location and all that stuff. Tony's like, thanks, Ari, Lucas, great info. Tony, thank you for being here. And you've been like my moderator answering questions. So appreciate all your help. David, superhero, small, liquid assets, big. Oh, first time I've heard that. How necessary to make superhero big? I mean, I'd argue pretty necessary, which isn't a real thing. That's like when someone's like, it's a very full flight today. No such thing. Full or not full. So why does someone want a superhero account? Well, they want to tap into their funds earlier, or they're like, look, I don't know what the heck's going to happen with a bunch of different things in my life, but I'm probably going to have to pay Roth conversion taxes. The brokerage account is good because it helps you pay those taxes. You don't have to take money from an IRA. You can take it from your brokerage account. So there's not like a perfect number. It's not like you need 500K or you need 1 million, but you need to make sure that you're not overweighting different accounts. So guys, I'm gonna let you go. That's it for tonight. Lucas is putting everything in there. I'll answer a few last ones here. Cole, David L, thank you. You guys are making my life easy. So in the community or these lives, I love when you answer questions. I'll go back to them, but if you guys can do a better job and do this for me, love it. Dave, great job. Ari, another marathon session. You're the Springsteen of financial planners. Dave, that's a big compliment. I saw the close, by the way, of 4, Dave. Okay, no participation trophies here. Maybe, Dave, we can come up with like a root trophy that's, oh, Dave, what do you think? This might be a little much, but so this is the second best gift. First best gift ever, cauliflower, okay? Second best gift ever, anti-cookie cutter jar. Love the podcast. Maybe, Dave, we want anti-participation trophy or I'm trying to think, anti-participation trophy, anti-risk tolerance. I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but this is funny. So thank you guys. I'll give you my last story as you put any final comments. So last comment I'll give you here. Someone, this was like, I don't know, 3 months ago. They're like, Ari, I'm very uncomfortable right now. I said, why? They go, well, everything you said on taxes and withdrawal, I never heard that before. And my spouse is obviously kind of in shock. And I think we want to work with you, but you did something wrong. I said, okay, I'm open to learning what I do wrong. They said, you didn't ask for my risk tolerance. I said, okay, let's do it right now. They're like, really? I go, yeah, let's do it. What is your risk tolerance between 1 and 10? And they're like, I'm a 2. I go, that's cool. What's your spouse? And they're like, I think I'm a 7. I go, cool. They're like, what? I go retire. They're like, huh? I go, yeah, the risk tolerance didn't really help us much because you know what happens? When I ask you your risk tolerance today, while markets are at an all-time high, that's very different from me going, what's your risk tolerance when markets are down? So I don't love the question because you're going to give me 2 different answers based on how you feel that day. There's risk tolerance, and then there's something called risk capacity. That's a real term. I didn't make that one up. You can look it up. So risk capacity is like, if we remove emotions, what could our portfolio allocation possibly look like? So hopefully that was helpful, guys. You're very welcome. We like doing it. Johnny, will this be available to watch later? Interested in getting more info on Umbrella? Johnny, just wait. I have a video coming out on Umbrella on Friday, I think. Brad, thank you. I've tried many times and now want to retire. Oh, wait, Brad, are you saying that you like retired, but like not successfully and you're going to retire again? I see a lot of that. Or are you like, I've tried, Brad, what do you mean by this? Solid work, gents. Raise for both of you along with the trophy. We'll take the trophy. Thanks, Brian. We all have a plan until we get punched in the face. That's right, Wood. So I love that. Okay, I'm Brad. I'll leave once I get an answer from you. But Brad, thank you. I've tried many times and now want to. Lucas, what do you think? What do you think he means here?
I don't think he's actually quit his job many times. I think he's run the analysis and tried to retire multiple times based on the market.
Oh, he said, I tired. Oh, okay. He's tired. He's ready to retire. Thank you, 808 and beyond. Yes, please like this video. It just takes you 2 seconds. Click like on YouTube because it helps more people find it and they can see how crazy and psycho I am as well. So, Tim, we should just retire and go play soccer with me. Guys, I want to have an event. I want to rent out Arsenal Stadium and we're just going to have root clients only, root listeners, and we're just going to do 11s. Brad's like my make bad joke. Oh, Brad, don't worry. I've never made a bad joke. So Brad, you're on your own on this one. Just kidding. Shirley, what is the special for the tool? I don't know what that means either, but maybe code or something like that. So guys, that is it. I did 2 hours on this. This was awesome. I had 1 sip of water. I'm going to go. What am I going to do? Lucas, what are you going to do tonight? I know what I'm going to do.
I have a client meeting.
You have a client meeting? Am I keeping you from it right now?
No, you're good. You're good.
When
I already did all the prep work for it. Don't worry.
Guys, Lucas, do you guys recognize what's happening? Lucas had a full day of work, okay? He's on the live with me right now. Thank you, Jeff. He's on the live with me right now. It's 8:30 in Florida. He's about to go into a client meeting, okay? Do you guys see what's happening at Root? I require, just so you all know, every employee, because there's a few people on the call right now that are interviewing to work at Root. We require 24-hour working, okay? 0 work-life balance. I'm just kidding. Lucas is exceptional, okay? Everyone doesn't have to do what Lucas is doing. Tim is go hang out with Alice. Tim, yep. So Alice is a teacher. She has staff meetings. So on Wednesdays, she works longer. She's not home yet, which means that right when she comes home, I can try to get some food ready for her. Make it Liverpool and you got a deal. Up the Reds. Yeah, Drew. I saw Liverpool won today. Jota, he's one of my favorite players. He just works so hard. Tim, slave labor. Superhero brokerage account. Be safe from Hurricane Lucas. Guys, go have a good day. I'm out of here.